If you've ever been on the edge of your couch rooting for Ilya Mikheyev to get one more shot on goal, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. I'm happy to be back here with you, folks, for a couple of reasons. Number one, because Mikheyev never got that other shot on goal. In fact, he missed the net, which caused me to lose out on my bet. So I'm happy to be back here with you folks. Also happy that it's Friday. We've got Mark Putrino coming up today. We also have an all access today. We've got a new Fed chairman to discuss. Big Mama Apple reporting earnings last night. Silver is down. Had to pinch myself to make sure that I'm not in some bizarro world. We got a lot to cover here today. It's Friday. We are almost at mice down, drinks up time. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Friday edition for January 30th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here. As mentioned, we have made it to Friday, and it kind of felt like a long week. A lot of stuff going on here this week, a lot of volatility in the markets. We're going to wrap it up strong here today. Had some more earnings this morning from Chevron and the likes. So we got a lot of stuff to go through here today. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. You are first here today. Love it. Early bird gets the worm as always. Peter, it's great to see you as always. Good morning. Getting a little warmer here. Nothing but sun later. I'll tell you what, that Colorado weather is wild. Peter, I hope that you have a wonderful day and weekend, of course. Brian, good morning. Welcome back. Brian says SanDisk is a huge winner. Congrats to all of those that have been in. Indeed, SanDisk, just unbelievable, eye-popping results yesterday on their blowout earnings. Thing is absolutely screaming higher here yet again. And you know what's key about that is that it's actually diverging from some of the other names. Although Western Digital now has gone positive this morning. So fun stuff there, Bri. We'll take a look at all of that. Good morning, Zach. We're sorry to lose you, but thanks for dropping your support anyway. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend here. And if we don't talk to you again, we'll see you on Monday. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Azrar, good morning. Welcome back. The producer's locked in, making sure that the show goes off without a hitch, and we appreciate him. We won't use his government name, lol. Azrar, good morning. Welcome back. Big Dave, good morning. Welcome back. Jim, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you. Durkis and Jane, welcome back. Yes, that girl, good morning. Welcome back. 08 Rouse Stage 3, welcome back. Good morning. Good to see you. Gluger, good morning. Welcome back. Carlos, it's great to see you as always. Ari Stock Market, buongiorno. I hope I did that all right and didn't offend anybody because our Italian friends out there are probably not happy with that. But good morning nonetheless. Ed, good morning. Rocking out to a fun Friday morning, y'all. Love the energy. Love the enthusiasm. Glad that you're rocking out. We're going to have a day here today. That's for sure. Bob, good morning. Welcome back. Just passing through. Welcome back. Day Trader, good morning. Nefariors, happy Friday. Indeed. Fist pumping on the happy Friday. Let's go. Kenzo, good morning. Welcome back. Shot on goal props are sweets, right? LMAO. Yo, I do really well with those. And I was on pace, and Bedard was just lighting it up, and I got the point late in the game, and man, I just that one last shot. But you know what, Bri? I get another chance today because the Hawks play again today. Imperium, good morning. Welcome back. Lambo Rolls, it's good to see you as always. Maverick, likewise, good morning. JJ, good morning. Fergus, it's great to see you again. Joseph, good morning. Sal, good morning. Kenneth, good morning. Richard, good morning. Tyler, good morning. Welcome back. 3D, buenos dias. How's the vacation in Mexico, 3D? That's got to be awesome. You got a nice tan going? At least you're not shoveling snow. Let's put it that way. We're actually going to get some more snow here in Chicago today. So it is what it is. Marty, good morning. Welcome back. Creation, good morning. Welcome back. Upset, good morning. Brandy, good morning, as always. Bernhard, welcome back. And Ballast Dog 007, welcome back. I actually put Goldfinger on last night because we're talking about gold every day. So 007, LOL. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures under pressure on this Friday morning ahead of the open. They are up off the lows, but still negative across the board. S&P futures down 0.38%, Dow futures down 0.37%, and NASDAQ leading the way lower at minus 0.51%. Now, let's take a look at some cues from last session. Real estate, communication services, and financial stocks led most of the S&P sectors higher, though consumer discretionary and information technology shares closed lower. Meanwhile, President Trump, during an appearance at the premiere for the film Melania on Thursday, said he will name his pick for the Federal Reserve chair today. That pick is out. It is officially Kevin Warsh. Data from Kalshi, a federally authorized betting platform, shows that over 81.6 million has been bet on the contract. Who will Trump nominate as the Fed chair? Warsh is currently leading with 92% probability that he will be nominated, and that has been officialized. That was up from 59, by the way, so that prediction market bet actually moved pretty good. Grats. If any of you hit that one, we'll start with a register ring here. The 10-year Treasury yielded 4.26%, and the 2-year bond yielded 3.56%. The CME's Fed Watch tool projections are showing an 84.7% likelihood that we hold interest rates steady at the next meeting in March. We have several stocks in focus here today, and the first one should be no surprise. It is, in fact, Apple, ticker AAPL. It was 0.34% lower despite reporting stronger than expected financial results for the first quarter of fiscal 2026 after the market closed on Thursday. The stock traded up, blowout number on the iPhone units. Really good from that report, but can't hold its gains and actually did go negative here. Yeah, we're down by just about $1.50 here today. So we'll see if Apple can firm up and maybe even reverse. SanDisk is the next stock on our list here. This should also surprise nobody. The ticker is SNDK, and it surged 20.53% after posting upbeat results for its second quarter on Thursday. It also announced the extension of its joint venture with Japanese multinational computer memory manufacturer Kioxia through December 31st of 2034. You better firm up those relationships for those memory products because it doesn't look like that's turning around, at least not yet. Rocket Lab is the next stock on our list here today. The ticker is RKLB, and it dropped 4.3% despite successfully launching the 81st Electron rocket on January 30th, executing its second launch in 8 days to place KAIST Neostat A1 satellite into a 540-kilometer low Earth orbit. The next stock that we have on our list is going to be Deckers Outdoors. This is ticker DECK, and it jumped 12.85% after reporting record revenue and profit for the third quarter. The last stock on our list is going to be Robinhood Markets. That's ticker HOOD, and it was down 0.22% following a spike on Thursday when it reported that the U.S. federal government is considering giving it a key role in overseeing the new Trump accounts that are being created for children. All right, let's take a look at the SPY, folks. Let's see where we are at. As mentioned, we really haven't done like a whole lot here. We've really just been kind of range bound. We're still under the upside trend line that's connecting all of the recent all-time highs. Those all-time highs that we pushed to, we really don't have any follow through. Like we set a new all-time high, the market comes back in from that, and it really doesn't want to take the next leg forward here. Today, however, we really want to hold this 690.5. Now, we've been talking about 690 for what feels like 2 weeks at this point, and it is coming back into play here today. 690.5 is going to be your 20-day moving average. We've actually done a really good job staying above the 20-day moving average over the past several weeks. There's really been only one crack beneath that, and it was followed by a very quick recovery and some support at the 50-day. So we'll see if we can hold 690.48 here today. I know that there's some trepidation about potential conflict with Iran over the weekend. So perhaps that will weigh on investors. And then we'll see how the market actually prices out the Kevin Warsh selection here today. And now some of the companies that reported earnings both last night and this morning actually impact today's market. But key levels here, the ones that I'm really looking at, 690 to 690 and a half, that should act as some pretty good support. Looks like we traded down here. If I go inside here on the SPY chart, looks like we actually traded down at about 687 in the pre-market. So I suppose if we get really weak, you could probably look at these two lows as well. The 685 intraday low from yesterday, and then the 687 and change low from this morning's pre-market. So those would be the levels that I'm watching here. We'll see what the market ends up doing here today, and we will trade it accordingly. That is for sure. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some insights from analysts here. Our friend Scott Wren, senior global market strategist at Wells Fargo Investment Institute, maintains an optimistic outlook for the U.S. economy and stock market in 2026, despite some media narratives suggesting a sell America mentality. He expects the American economy to remain resilient, forecasting a moderate 2.4% growth rate in the U.S. this year. Quote, this steady growth combined with moderating inflation creates what he describes as a good environment for stocks, end quote. Regarding the stock market, Wren anticipates a milestone year for corporate performance. He notes that the S&P 500 index achieved 3 straight years of record earnings, and he expects 2026 to be the 4th. He attributed this continued momentum to several factors, the first being strong corporate fundamentals. Enhanced tax benefits and deregulation are expected to provide an added earnings push. He also cited sector innovation, ongoing capital expenditures in artificial intelligence, and innovation in biotech and defense continue to attract capital. We've seen that with some of the reports this week. And then he finishes it with global leadership. Wren believes the U.S. markets will remain the primary destination for international investors, stating, sell America, ? Hardly, end quote. In summary, Wren expects international investors to continue to vote with their feet by investing in U.S. assets due to the nation's deep liquid markets and rule of law. As far as the data today, December's delayed producer price index will be released at 8:30. That's coming here in about 18 minutes from now. January Chicago Business Barometer PMI will be out by 9:45, and the St. Louis Fed President Alberto Musalem will speak at 1:30. Fed Vice Chair of Supervision Michelle Bowman will speak at 5. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. The first stock here is going to be Apple, without a doubt. Apple blows past the Q1 earnings estimate on unprecedented iPhone demand. An active install base crosses 2.5 billion. This company's absolutely a monster. Apple reported first quarter fiscal revenue of $143.76 billion. That beat the analyst estimate of $138.42 billion. The iPhone maker reported earnings of $2.84 per share for the first quarter, beating the analyst estimate of $2.66 per share, according to Benzinga Pro. Revenue was up 16% year over year, and earnings per share climbed 19% year over year. America's sales totaled $58.53 billion in the quarter. Europe sales came in at $38.15 billion, and Greater China sales were approximately $25.5 billion. I remember when there was a lot of fear about that number, and here are the numbers. Here we go. Japan sales totaled $9.4 billion, and the rest of the Asia Pacific were about $12.14 billion. So right there, China accounts for more than Japan and the rest of Asia Pacific on its own. Product revenue came in at $113.74 billion, which was up from $97.96 billion year over year. Services revenue totaled $30 billion, which was up from $26.34 billion year over year. And the breakdown as category is as follows. iPhone, $85.27 billion versus the $69.14 billion last year. I mean, just a massive move up there. Mac was $8.39 billion. That was versus the $8.99 billion. iPad 8.6 versus 8.09, and wearables and home accessories was 11.49 versus the 11.75 billion last year. So very clearly here, the Apple iPhone handsets really kind of carrying the water here for Apple. Apple said its active install base of devices is now more than 2.5 billion devices. Quote, total, Apple is proud to report a remarkable record-breaking quarter with revenue of $143.8 billion, up 16% from a year ago and well above our estimations. That came from Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, who some want out. of there. He goes on to say iPhone had its best ever quarter driven by unprecedented demand with all-time records across every geographic segment, and services also achieved an all-time revenue record, which was up 14% from a year ago. Apple ended the quarter with 45.32 billion in cash and cash equivalents. The company's board declared a quarterly cash dividend of 26 cents per share payable on February 12th to shareholders of record February 9th. Apple's management team went on to have the earnings call, and that's when things kind of turned around. So Apple is actually a little bit lower here today. Oh, nope, just went red-green here in the pre-market. So giddy up. We should have some fun today with this. One more thing here regarding the Apple print. Apple is going to focus on premium iPhone launches in 2026 because of the memory chip constraints. Apple is reportedly focusing on the production and shipment of its top-tier iPhone models for 2026. That's where the margins are the highest, delaying the release of its standard model due to supply chain constraints. The tech giant is set to prioritize the launch of its first ever foldable iPhone. Who wants the foldable iPhone again? I feel like there's back and forth on this one. Let me know if you're a fan of that foldable phone or if you're looking to get that here from Apple. Alongside two non-folding models featuring advanced cameras and larger displays in the second half of 2026, according to a Nikkei Asia report that came on Friday. The standard iPhone 18 is now expected to ship in the first half of 2027. Apple did not immediately respond to our comment, but as always, we'll update you if that happens. The move is intended to streamline resources and boost revenue as costs rise for memory chips and other components. It will also help Apple navigate potential manufacturing hurdles tied to its new foldable iPhone, which demands more advanced production methods and materials. A source told Nikkei that the strategy shift is expected to help Apple streamline its supply chain and sharpen its marketing focus, with an iPhone supplier executive noting that the supply chain stability and a renewed emphasis on premium models influenced that decision. Previous reports suggest Apple is developing at least 5 new iPhone models, including a redesigned ultra-thin iPhone Air, the standard model, and then 3 premium versions on the back of that. This move comes on the heels of Apple's impressive Q1 earnings, where the company beat analyst estimates with a revenue of $143.76 billion. This was largely driven by strong iPhone sales, with the company's active install base crossing that 2.5 bill threshold. Moreover, Apple's best iPhone quarter in history, as put by CEO Tim Cook, was marked by a 38% year-over-year surge in revenue from Greater China, driven by the iPhone 17 lineup. This suggests a strong demand for premium iPhone models, which could have influenced Apple's decision to prioritize their production. Additionally, Fitzgerald Group CIO Keith Fitzgerald has indicated a major production launch from Apple this spring with predictions of revolutionary form factor akin to the iPhone. So saying maybe we even have some more dramatic surprises here. Meanwhile, a surge in AI data center spending has worsened the global memory chip shortage by boosting demand for high bandwidth memory, or HBM memory, diverting supplies towards AI servers and reducing availability for consumer electronics like smartphones and PCs. Micron CEO Sanjay Mehrotra recently stated that dealing with this shortage demands capacity expansion for memory chip makers, which would have a significant lead time. Earlier this week, the company announced plans to invest about $24 billion over the next 10 years to build a state-of-the-art wafer fabrication plant in Singapore. Here's how Apple stacks up with the proprietary Benzinga Edge rankings: 91st percentile for quality, and still a quite high 69% percentile ranking for momentum. It is still in a long-term uptrend, although those short and medium-term trends have kind of changed a little bit. We'll see if that changes here pretty soon. Now, let's go back to Benzinga Pro and actually take a look at the Apple chart for you folks. For me, this is not so much a trade as it is a long-term hold. I've owned this thing since 2014, and I just can't see myself selling it unless something changes there. And believe me, nothing has changed there. Now, today, here we are, 258.63. This is notable because so far we're above this 20-day moving average. You can see over the past 3 sessions prior to today, we actually tried to take this area out and we're simply not strong enough to do so. So today, This is definitely a level we want to watch. And if Apple can close above this, that is going to be close one over this. We'll see if we can get more of those early next week. That probably sets up 268, which is where that 50-day is, as well as 270 for the next move higher. Once we do that, we can start looking at all-time highs again. Again, a lot of this is going to depend on whether or not the market cooperates. Now, if it stalls here and it wants to probe some of these levels lower, I actually think we've got two pretty clear levels that we can identify. Number one, we're going to look at this area right here. I'm going to call it 244 to 245. This is going to be the recent low that held Apple, but this also goes back to October of 2025 and September of 2025 when we broke through this level. So I would say 244 to 245, your first downside level, and the one after that is going to be the 200-day. That's currently sitting at 236.65, but by the time we move down there, that'll probably creep up a little bit too. So we're at a pretty decent spot here on the chart for Apple. We'll see if we can actually get above this 20-day moving average and start doing some damage to the upside levels. And then on the downside, a couple of levels really not all that far from where we're at. So Apple actually looks pretty good. We'll see how it trades here today. I'm encouraged. Here's what it looks like inside. I'm encouraged to see this little pop here in the pre-market. Again, when we released the earnings yesterday, the stock initially moved up, made another attempt to move up, but basically settled somewhat flat. Let's see what the regular session gives us today here on Apple. Now, the other company that reported earnings that is kind of a big deal, as they say, is SanDisk. SanDisk stock soared after the blowout earnings yesterday. Shares soared on Thursday, extended trading after the company released its second quarter earnings report and beat the estimates on the top and bottom lines. SanDisk reported quarterly earnings of $6.20 per share, which beat the estimate of $3.12 per share. It beat the estimate by 98.53%. And I mean, if you think about this, so all of the inputs that they had to make these memory chips, they've had those before the prices went up. Now that the prices have gone up and they're selling their products at this increased price, this actually makes sense. Quarterly sales was $3.02 billion. That beat the consensus estimate of $2.599 billion. And that beat it by 16.41%. Data center revenue was up 64% from the previous quarter, which was driven by strong adoption among AI infrastructure builders. We've been hearing that from the companies like crazy. Semi-custom customers and technology companies deploying AI at scale. That came directly from SanDisk. Quote, this quarter's performance underscores our agility in capitalizing on a better product mix, accelerating enterprise SSD deployments and strengthening market demand dynamics, all at a time when the critical role that our products play in powering AI and the world's largest technology is being recognized. And that came from David Geckler, the SanDisk CEO. I probably mispronounced his name, and I feel really bad about that. But anyway, SanDisk, this thing is just an absolute monster. You guys don't need me to tell you this. I would reiterate what Brian said earlier here today. Anyone that's been trading this recently, whether it's you just did it recently and you kind of chased this, or you were positioned on one of these previous breakouts, or you bought this when this thing pulled back to the 20-day, which we seemingly talk about every single day on the show. Congrats to all of you. Register rings all around for the group here. SanDisk, look at this gap. Look at it. I mean, this is just such a monster. Now, this thing's up 23.5% here today. I cannot recommend anyone buy this just because it is so extended. But if you have this and you are selling into the strike, boy, oh boy, are you doing it right. So congrats to all of you on SanDisk. We'll see how this trades here today. I just want to point out the absurdity of this. The SanDisk pre-market price right now is $666.50. Ooh, spooky for all you folks with the 666 stuff. But anyway, it's $666.50. The 20-day moving average, is at $428.58. It is 240 points lower than where we are at. Jay Harris is saying SanDisk puts catch a pullback. Yo, I've been thinking about that for a couple of weeks. Like, you look at a chart like this, you definitely want to try and take this short just for a regression back to the mean, not even a comment on the company or what they're doing or their business or anything like that. just a regression back to the mean. I mean, for heaven's sakes, look at this thing. But that hasn't gone well. That hasn't gone well for people that are trying to short this. The other thing that I would definitely say here with this is not a stock that I would short outright. If you're going to try and play this to the downside, I really think one of the best things you could possibly do is define your risk ahead of time. Use options for that. If you're going to short the actual stock itself, you had better be planted in front of your terminal and ready to get out of that. I mean, this is just a huge run. I can't promise. It looks like it should pull back, but I cannot possibly promise you that it's going to do that. It's just, this thing's been an absolute rager. So just a monster move here for SanDisk. We'll keep watching all of that stuff. Okay. Now let's talk about the new Fed chair. Trump's Fed choice, Kevin Warsh, sparks a dollar surge. That's weird because I've been hearing how the dollar's going into the toilet and the U.S. is going to end recently. It's so crazy that just didn't happen. LOL. President Trump nominated Kevin Warsh on Friday to serve as the next chair of the Federal Reserve, who's set to succeed Jerome Powell when his term expires in May of this year. Kevin Warsh is a former Federal Reserve governor, financier, and lawyer with longstanding ties to Washington and Wall Street. He served on the Fed Board of Governors from 2006 to 2011, and at 35, ranked among the youngest governors in modern central bank history. Born April 13, 1970 in Albany, New York, Warsh earned a bachelor's degree in public policy from the Stanford University and Juris Doctor from Harvard Law School, with additional coursework at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. This guy sounds like a genius. What a scholastic resume there. During the 2000 financial aid crisis, he acted as the Federal Reserve's main liaison to Wall Street and represented the central bank at meetings of the group of 20 major economies. Before joining the Fed, Warsh worked in the White House as a special assistant to the president for economic policy and executive secretary of the National Economic Council during the administration of George W. Bush. Warsh, 55, brings deep experience in monetary policy and financial markets, along with a reputation for skepticism towards prolonged, ultra-easy central bank policies. Wall Street views that record as a signal the Fed could be less inclined to sharply reduce interest rates, easing recent concerns about political pressure undermining the central bank independence. So cue it up right now. Cue it up right now. When are we going to hear the Warsh is too late and he's slow and blah, blah? Cue it up right now. You know that's coming. In fact, let's see if we can bet that on the prediction markets. That would be fun. That would be fun. What's the over-under before Trump starts slinging insults at Warsh? I know some of you are going to say tomorrow. Warsh appointment pushed back earlier fears that a Trump-appointed Fed chair would be more willing to push through rapid interest rate cuts. Wah, wah. Markets had begun anticipating the nomination on Thursday, and those anticipatory moves intensified Friday after Trump's announcement. The U.S. dollar strengthened 0.4% as traders positioned for less accommodative monetary policy under Warsh, a dynamic that often pressures commodities priced in dollars. Gold, tracked by the Spider Gold shares, that's ticker GLD, traded roughly 4.6% lower to $5,130 per ounce on Friday morning, marking its steepest one-day drop since mid-October. Silver suffered even heavier losses, plunging about 11% to 103, eyeing the worst session since August of 2020. Quick check in there. SLV is $90 here in the pre-market. It actually printed a low of 86.20, and GLD is currently at 462.59, and that printed a low down in the 455 handle. So those things weak today. I'd be curious to know, especially from you, Lion, I'd be curious to know, I know gold is king. I know you have your price targets and all of that. Are you doing anything new given the move that we're seeing here today? Or instead, are you kind of waiting this out, seeing how it all shakes out? Let me know what the plan is here with this pullback in some of these precious metals. Okay, folks, it is just about 8:30. It's actually a little bit before 8:30, which means it's bonus time. It is, in fact, one of our favorite times. It's Mark Putrino time. So let's go ahead. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and bring him on right now. Mark, good morning. Happy Friday. How you doing, boss?
Hello, Ryan. How are you? I'm cold, man. It's freaking 5 degrees here, and
You're getting it's 9 here.
yeah. And I just took my dog out to in the yard, and it was like, his paws froze. He came like right back in. So
Yeah, that's I have a balcony that I let my cat out onto. He hates this weather. He hates this. Tries to go out there. He's like, nope, I'm done. Give me the couch. Give me the couch and the
yeah.
blanket.
So OpenAI, I guess, is going public in the fourth quarter, huh?
Yeah, I saw that OpenAI and Anthropic are actually like racing to get this IPO out sooner. So it'll be interesting to see which one comes first. And we'll get to it here in a little bit. This will actually, I'll tease the segment coming after you, Mark. How about the possibility of SpaceX merging with OpenAI and Tesla? Did you see that news?
Oh man, it's
Oh
like
man is right.
we got to be close to the end of civilization when that happens.
Okay.
I will say historically.
I hope I get my hole in one before that happens, Mark.
You will. I will say historically that you tend to get these big IPOs like towards the top of the market sometimes historically, like whatever the big thing is going on is. So maybe this is a sign that at some point we're going to be getting close to a top here, but I don't think we're there yet.
Okay. You want to share your charts?
Indeed, I do.
Excellent. And folks, while Mark's bringing up his charts, don't forget, be sure to check out his Substack. Producer, if we could throw Mark's Substack link right up on the chat here, that would be absolutely fantastic. Mark,
that'd be great.
You do a great job with your Substack. I know you talk a lot about what you write about here on the show, and we're appreciative of that. But I just want to remind folks, go sign up for Mark's Substack. It's awesome. We'll have the producer throw that right in the chat and on the screen. All right, Mark, take it away.
Yes, well, one of the things, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm putting together these lessons I want to.
Oh, fantastic.
Have.
You know what? We've been getting asked about like lessons that you can do. This is perfect timing, Mark. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, so let's just look at, I don't know, let's pick one, reversal patterns. Let's talk about the head and shoulders pattern because that's something that, like most things in markets, a lot of people don't understand. So because someone will see something that looks like a head and shoulders pattern, but it's really more about understanding the mechanics that are the dynamics that make the pattern form. And the head and shoulders pattern is a reversal pattern, right? Which means it has to be at the end of a trend. If it's a trend going sideways and something looks like a head and shoulders pattern, it's not. I'm in the CMT, or the I call it the Market Technicians Association, the CMT, and they had this guy do this study on the head and shoulders pattern, and he came up with this conclusion that 90% of the head and shoulders patterns that he identified with his computers or whatever were not valid and they did not work out. But the guy just completely just has no clue what it's really all about. So this is a good example here. Now, when a market is going higher, levels that were resistance turn into support. It's a very common thing. And this is due to seller's remorse. People sell, and at first they think they made the right move. But when the resistance break, a lot of them tell themselves, I shouldn't have sold. If I can, I'm going to buy my shares back at the same price I sold them at. So you go up in like this staircase. Resistance becomes support. Resistance becomes support. Now, here is the first warning sign. Remember, the head and shoulders is a reversal pattern. So this is an uptrend. Is it reversing into a downtrend? When the resistance that was the left shoulder does not become support, or if it becomes support briefly and that breaks, that's your first warning sign. Markets are climbing. There is a lot of seller's remorse, which makes resistance turn into support. When you start to get to a top, that kind of fades out and the resistance stops becoming a support. So kind of like right here. Now, the second warning signal is when the right shoulder forms at a lower level than the head, that's a lower high. So two things to look for here. The left shoulder resistance did not become support, and the right shoulder is just a peak that forms at a lower level than the head. So that's what you need to look for, not just looking and saying, oh, well, it looks like a head and shoulders, or that looks like a head and shoulders. You want to look for the dynamics that it illustrates. And then on the downside, it's the mirror image. When markets are going down, levels that were support become resistance because of buyer remorse. People buy, and at first they thought they made the right move. But when the support breaks, they tell themselves, man, I shouldn't have bought this. If I can get out at break even, I will. So if you have enough of that, support becomes resistance. Now, when what was support does not become resistance, okay, mirror image to the regular head and shoulders pattern, that's your sign right there. That's a bullish sign. When what was support stops becoming resistance, it's a sign that there's a chance the market could start to go higher. So that's what you need to look for. The other patterns.
Really quick, Mark, we've got a great question here. What
Okay.
time frame does Mark typically use for this?
Well, interesting you say that. These are, this is a year. This is, these are all, I would guess I would call them like 1 year charts where these are all days. But one of the interesting things about technical analysis is that you see the same patterns in different time horizons. Because if you're looking at a chart, what you're looking at is really the psychology of the people that are doing the trading. The charts are a graphical illustration of this. Now, one of the amazing things is you could look at a day chart or you could look at a 1 year chart, and you couldn't tell the difference if they weren't labeled. But the people that are day traders and short-term traders experience the same emotions as the people who are the swing traders who might have a year time horizon. And that is what shows up on the charts. I call it the fractal nature. Now, here's a long rounded bottom. This is just a slow change of leadership. When the leadership is changing from bulls to bears or bears to bulls, the trading action or the price action can manifest itself on a chart as something that looks like a reversal pattern. That's all this is. It's not astrology. All right. So this is a 1 year pattern. Now there's probably a couple of day patterns in here. Well, I don't know. Sorry about that. I'll
Okay.
do in some other places, but I call it the fractal nature of charting. And here's something that I pay attention to: reversal days. So here's your bullish engulfing pattern. So what does this show? Well, on this particular day, here we're looking at days. Here we're looking at days. In this morning, you would have thought, gee, this is going to be another down day. The opening price here is lower than the closing price here. But by the close, what happened? The bulls completely overpowered the sellers, and there was an intraday reversal, and that showed you that the trend was changing. Here is another example, but this is a bearish engulfing pattern. So on this particular day, you would have thought, hey, it's going to be another up day. In the morning, the open was higher than the prior day's close. But by the close, what had happened? The sellers had turned it all the way around. And the reason why it's important that these patterns engulf, mean trade larger than the prior day's range, is because most volume trades on the open and the close. So so that means there should be some support there. And if you could just blow right through the support, in this case, then it just shows you that the sellers are really aggressive and really strong. Here is the old little hammer pattern. The reason why this can be a bullish reversal pattern. Now, remember, this has to be a reversal pattern. It has to be at the end of a trend. If a market's just kind of going along sideways and something looks like this, it doesn't have the same amount of significance as if it happens at the end of a trend, because it's a reversal pattern. So on this day, all right, it's going to be another down day, opens lower than the prior day's close. That all the way down to there in the course of the day. But by the close, what had happened? The buyers overpowered the sellers and pushed it all the way back up. And we ended up closing at a higher price than the prior day's open. So when we look at these patterns, we want to just think about, what does the price action show us? It's not astrology or reading tea leaves. It's about understanding the price action. Like, look at these reversal days. This is in the lumber market. Here's some more. So those are the rounded tops. And then I like I look for the V's. These are pretty common. Now, this is just what happens when a market, when the leadership changes over a couple time periods quickly. You get the V top or the V bottom. So these are one of the lessons I'm going to do, and I'm going to update it with more recent charts, but it really doesn't matter because the
same psychology is in play. So
yeah, I mean, we could be looking at charts from 100 years ago and we would see the same thing, which is really kind of incredible.
Okay, that's really awesome. I'm really excited. I'm just going to plug it again. Folks, sign up for Mark's Substack. A lot of really good stuff there. Mark, we appreciate you sharing this here with us as well. I know there are a lot of folks that look forward to this segment every single week.
Oh, cool. Now, this is another interesting thing to watch. Is if you've ever heard the expression gaps tend to refill,
Oh yeah.
right? It there's a reason behind that. In a market, if you move really quickly through price levels in one direction or you gap through them, and then you spend some time consolidating and you reverse. Now, notice this is a 1 day chart. These are all minutes. Um, and then you reverse and get back to those levels in the opposite direction. There's a good chance you move really quickly right back through them. One of the main reasons why we get support resistance in markets is we have remorseful buyers trying to sell things on the way up. Well, when you move really quickly through the price levels like that, you don't have a lot of time for there to be this big group of buyers who are going to be trying to sell on the way back up. So when we get back into these price levels, there's not a lot of sell orders. There are sellers, but there's not as many as there would typically be. So the buyers got to really push the price higher. Now, when one of the main reasons why we get support in a market is remorseful sellers trying to buy things back on the way down. Someone sells something at 10 and it goes to 12. They say, hey, if it drops back to 10, I'll buy it. Well, we move through the levels really quickly. When we get back to down here, there are buyers, but there's not as many as there would typically be, as if we had spent a lot of time there. So that's a 1 day. Now here, this is going to the question about time horizons. So these are all days. So these are minutes and these are days, but yet it's the same principles. If you move quickly through levels one way, then you consolidate and you get back to those same levels going in the opposite direction. You can move quickly right back through them. So it's pretty, to me, awesome. It's pretty amazing stuff. Right?
Yeah, I like all of this technical analysis stuff. And I'll be honest with you, Mark, a lot of the recent moves have been best explained by looking at the chart and being able to identify what's probably going to happen here simply by looking at the chart. And that's really technical analysis has really been shining recently, I feel like.
Yeah, and the problem is so many of the people out there that do it, and even some of the people that are well known, they just really don't seem to know what they're talking about. I mean, they might see a pattern and say, oh, yeah, that looks like, an ascending triangle pattern, but they don't understand what the pattern shows. Now, if we look at an ascending triangle pattern, and these patterns tend to be pretty reliable, and they were all over the place a few months ago, you get this level here where you have resistance, and notice it's horizontal. So this means the sellers are kind of hanging out. They're just like, yeah, whatever. The buyers come, I'll sell. If not, I don't care. It's not a fire sale. At the same time, as time is going by, the buyers are getting increasingly aggressive. They're willing to come in at higher prices. So this is an illustration of aggressive buyers complacent sellers. Sets the stage for a move higher. We can see it here. Now, this is the descending triangle. This is the exact opposite. This is where the buyers are hanging out and the sellers are getting more aggressive. The buyers are like, well, if the sellers come, I'll buy. If not, I don't care. But the sellers are getting more anxious. They're willing to sell at lower prices as time goes by. So I haven't seen too many of these recently, but they are out there. But anyway, this is this is a 1 day chart. So we see the same pattern here, but these are all minutes. All right. So it's what I call the fractal nature of charting. And so anyway, I'm trying to get these up and running. I don't know, maybe within another month or so, it'll be ready to go.
That's awesome. I really appreciate the preview here. Once again, Veggie Girl is Mark's Substack, just his name. It is Mark Putrino, cmt.substack.com. Link is in the chat and on the screen.
I will actually show you something that you may appreciate from what I put out last night on my Substack. I'll just show you a little headline here. What do you think of that?
I was like, this might be Patriot related. I wouldn't be surprised if this was Patriot related. Really quickly here, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that he did not get voted into the Hall of Fame. I think it is so absurd that they should change the way the voting is done.
Well, people don't like
an absolute joke.
Yeah.
An absolute joke. Okay, we got that out of the way. Really good stuff. Look, I'm sure we're going to have a bunch of tickers here today. We're going to start with perhaps one of the craziest ones here. I hope this is all right. How about SanDisk? They reported earnings last night, traded up another 23% on the back of that. They've already been on a meteoric rise. The stock just looks like it's going absolutely ballistic. I mean, it's just, what do we do with this, Mark?
Where is it trading this morning?
It's 6:59 this morning.
Oh, so it's right up here. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I will say is this. When a company reports earnings and it opens up big, or if it closes big, and there is going to be an intraday reversal, it usually starts mid-morning, like 10 or 10:30. There's a reason for that. When I was in the institutional trading world, this is kind of how it works, right? So the traders all come in early, like around 7, but the analysts don't come in until around 8. I'm talking, New York Eastern time.
Yeah.
And by the time they have their coffee and read the paper and have their meeting, it's about 10 or 10:30 by the time they're done. And they might say, all right, well, we own this SanDisk. These numbers are good, but there's something in them we don't like here. Maybe there's a red flag. The margins are decreased or something. So we're going to take advantage of this strength and start selling. Now, if the earnings are as good as they initially appear, my experience is that the stocks tend to trade sideways or maybe even start to go higher.
Mm-hmm.
So if I see something that opens up huge like this, and then it starts to fade mid-morning, I think there's a good chance that fade or move lower continues over the course of the day.
Okay, so that's awesome because we often talk about like the 10:30 time frame there in the New York session, and it seems like that's kind of what we should watch here again today. If it maybe struggles, maybe it's the time for a reversal here.
Yeah, like the headline numbers obviously were beat estimates, but if things like the margins are compressing or inventories building, there could be some red flags. And I'm not saying that there is because I haven't looked at the numbers.
Yeah, in fact, it's the opposite. Margins are exploding higher because of the price, and they had their inputs for those memory chips locked in at a much lower price. I mean, Mark, they beat their EPS by 98%.
Wow.
Their reported EPS 98% higher than Wall Street estimates, and the revenue was like 16 and change percent higher than Wall Street estimates. It's just it's eye-popping.
Which basically, in a lot of ways, tells you how this Wall Street research is worthless. How could these people that get paid all this money, and their job is to like research and follow these companies, how could they be so wrong? I mean, think about it.
Yeah, I think in the answer of SanDisk here, there's a one-off event, right? The memory, no one really forecasted memory going on this huge price increase, and that's being reflected here in the stocks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've noticed this when it comes to models, if you do really good research, models can be really good when everything is normal. But when you have an outlier event, that model breaks down. And I think that you're seeing that a lot, especially in these names here with respect to the analysts. So, okay. There was one question here. You might not have anything for this. One of the traders here is asking, what is the upper limit for SanDisk? I don't know if you're able to even give that.
Oh, I mean, it's assuming civilization doesn't collapse, I mean, there will be corrections, but the market will be higher. It's been going up for 250 years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So I don't know that there is an upper boundary here on SanDisk. Bhavesh, if there is, I'll be honest, I'm not sure what that is. So,
something to think about as a potential exit strategy is just to watch the trend, if you're long it.
Yeah.
And if it just keeps trending higher, you stay with it. And eventually if the trend breaks, that's where you start thinking about maybe getting out.
And Mark, isn't this the situation where we should use like a trailing stop that you've talked about before?
Yeah, that's one thing to think about too. A trailing stop would be like, all right, I own this stock. I got a profit on it. I'm going to stay with it. But if it reverses by X percent, 3% or whatever percent, depends on your risk tolerance, then I'm going to sell it. One of the things that's kind of interesting to think about is that unsuccessful traders, but my experience is unsuccessful traders buy stuff while it's going down, right? Oh, it's down. I'm going to go buy it. Successful traders buy stuff when it's going up. Oh, it's breaking out. I'm going to buy it. Oh, it's reversing and it's on its way up. On the opposite side, I've seen a lot of unsuccessful traders sell stuff just because it's up. Oh, it's up 20%. Oh, it's up 30%. I'm going to sell it. And then a lot of times it can keep going and they leave it on the a lot of profit on the table because they got out too soon. So you kind of want to sell things when they're actually going down. Once it starts to roll over and starts to go down a little bit. So it's, of course, you're not going to get the best price, but it's about putting the odds in your favor, right? It's never going to be perfect.
Yeah. All right. Got a couple more stocks here for you, if that's all right. Let's just get right to some of the metals here. Let's take a look at SLV. I'd like to stay on a couple here. So maybe SLV, AEM, and PAAS. But let's start with silver here, SLV.
Well, I got to say, I talk to a lot of people all over the world, actually. And I mean, this silver story is so incredible what's going on. Basically, the world does not have enough silver, right? The
Mhm.
EV batteries, the new round of EV batteries need silver. Quantum computers need silver. Um, and there's just not enough supply to fill all the demand. And estimates are by the time they get enough new silver online to fill the demand, it's about 5 years out. So I don't know what's going to happen, but there's going to be all kinds of issues with, most of the time on the COMEX or the futures exchanges, only I think maybe 5% of normal trading, or even less than that, is by people that are trading the futures that actually take delivery of the actual
Mhm.
silver, right? Like, say you're a jewelry maker and you think that the price of silver is going to go up. Well, you would buy a futures contract, and then, the price goes up or whatever, you get hedged, but you actually take delivery of the silver because you need the silver for your product. Or if you're General Mills, you might take delivery of wheat, right? But now the people that want to take delivery of silver is getting so high that there's not enough silver to actually meet the demand. So over the next couple months, there could be some big dislocations in the way silver is trading. And a guy I was speaking with to yesterday, we kind of were talking about how it's such an important resource for the military that one day maybe the government will take control of silver. It's happened before in the past in other countries. So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't claim to know what's happened, but it's going to be a really interesting story to see how this plays out over the next few months.
Now, here in the pre-market, it's pulled back to 88. Do you see anything on the chart here? I mean, we have a lot of folks going back and forth here saying, probably good to buy on this dip. What does the chart tell you?
Well, I would just want to go look at the way the future is trading, to see. I mean, we're still in this uptrend here.
Sure.
I don't know. I would probably be looking for some short-term support pretty much right around there, which is actually really right where the bottom was today. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe around 95, 96.
Okay.
I think it's but even with this volatility, we're still in this solid uptrend here.
Yeah, and creation here saying solar panels need silver, data centers need silver. So you're right on that. All of that. Saudi Arabia is buying silver. So it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out here.
There's actually silver in medicines, believe it or not. I
No, I
traded
believe it.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I absolutely believe it.
yeah.
Okay, can we take a look really quickly at WPM?
Yes, sir.
That's Wheaton Precious Metals.
Yeah. Now, when you're trading these stocks, any commodity related stock, I mean, you can look in here and look for the levels and so forth, but it's a good idea to keep an eye on the futures, like that trading economics website I look at sometimes has them. But here, I would be looking probably right here if it keeps going lower. I think that's where I would be thinking, right? Right before we had this little kind of gap up there. Um, and we're trading there this morning. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's anything going on here crazy. I think it's just a long overdue profit taking. And after my guess, you notice I'm saying guess here, right? My guess is that after a few days, this starts to get back in gear and these metals start going higher again.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff there on the metals. Kathy here giving us a spot on the chart. A pullback and hold of the 20-day moving average might be a good buy price. I've been watching the 20-day on a lot of assets, Kathy. So that'd be great. That'd be great if we can get that. Okay. All right. We're going to change gears a little bit here. How about LITE?
Momentum Holdings. What do we got here? 410. Okay. So now here is what could be your classic breakout. All right. So the stock is trading right around here. right around 410. So I'll put this line in like right there. Now, a lot of times when you break out or when you have a potential breakout, one of three things is going to happen. It's going to keep going, right? So look for that around 10 or 10:30, like we talked about. Does it start to, is it going to trend higher? Does it reverse, and does the resistance convert to support? All right. That's a common occurrence in markets. And if you're trading breakouts, it's something to understand. And we can see it. Actually, there were yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I took my lines off. Like you can see here, right? Resistance breaks, comes back, and it becomes support. You know, resistance breaks, comes back, and it becomes support. So if this thing retraces a little bit, I would want to see, does this become support? And if it holds out for a day or two, that typically sets the stage for the next move higher. If it doesn't and it comes right back in and what looks like a breakout doesn't happen, it's what we call a false breakout. False breakouts tend to be followed by rapid moves lower. So what I would say on this stock, if I owned it, as long as we were hanging out above here, 398 or 399 or so, I would be okay with it.
Okay. All right, really good stuff. I got one more. We'll get you out of here on this, Mark. How about Apple? They reported earnings last night, initially traded higher, then went lower. They look like they're, about flat here? A little bit in the red, but basically unchanged this morning ahead of the open. What does the chart tell you here on Apple?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of stalled out here. I mean, it's really not doing anything this morning, but here's it's just another situation where this level is important for whatever reason. It was resistance there, then it became support, and now it's become resistance again. I think it's probably important to watch Microsoft because it really got smacked yesterday, as everyone knows.
Sure did. I actually went long this 425.
Really? Yeah.
Yep.
I think that probably makes sense because look at where we found the support. Right? This is the bottom yesterday. It was like right there.
We were talking about that. We were eyeing this. The only thing here, obviously, is you got that big gap below. So if you end up coughing that support up, probably look like 395 is next here. But yesterday, it tried to hold this. It clearly went down to that 425-ish level, and intraday, it traded there for a little bit. It broke beneath it by like 2 points and then very quickly recaptured. And then at the end of the day, we got that buying back that made your candle look like that. So my hope here is that this continues here. Shout out to Parker's Thinkorswim indicators from the chat. He was all over this. It was his alert that I actually bought that off of. So nice. Awesome. Okay, Mark, look, really good stuff as always. Really appreciate it. I gotta imagine that you are as excited as it gets right now with the Super Bowl coming up here. You got to be so thrilled.
Is there some game going on or something?
It's not this weekend. It's next weekend. But I'm gonna let you enjoy this here today, and then next week when we talk to you, hopefully you're around. You may be on cloud nine.
Well, I've come to the conclusion after the rival quarterback breaks his foot on the last play of overtime, and then we get this snowstorm comes out of nowhere, which really ruins the Broncos' chances of having any winning probabilities. Seems to me like God might be a Patriots fan.
Oh, you might be creating some ripples with that. You might be. Mark, we're going to get you out of here before they start throwing tomatoes at you. We've got a couple of Jets fans in the chat here that are none too pleased about that, I am sure. Mark, look, really good stuff. We appreciate all of your expertise all of the time. Have a great weekend. We look forward to following up.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. See you next week.
All right, that is Mark Putrino. Real good stuff from him, as always. Tell you what, again, that Substack, check it out. That little education course that he just previewed for us, which isn't even available yet, guys. We're getting early access previews here now. Awesome, just absolutely awesome. I hope that you folks can benefit from that. What was the Thinkorswim alert? We have a gentleman in the chat whose name used to be Parker's Thinkorswim indicators. So it's not actually a Thinkorswim. It's one of our sharp traders that joins us here in the chat. Okay, folks, before we get 13 on here, I got a couple of other things to cover. First thing we're going to do, I got two really quick street tweets for you. Let's go ahead and start the street tweet segment. All right, first tweet here. This is Wall Street Engine. Who saw this yesterday after the close? Elon Musk's SpaceX, which is, of course, in the news because it might be IPOing here pretty soon, said to consider merging with Tesla or XAI. How about that? Tesla traded up on the back of this news yesterday. It'll be, I would say this, if SpaceX merged with Tesla, that would immediately, for me, make Tesla a long-term hold. That is absolutely something that I would want to be a part of here. I had no idea that this was coming. I was kind of caught off guard by this. We'll see if we hear any more follow-ups on this. But Elon Musk's SpaceX said to consider merging with Tesla or XAI, courtesy of Bloomberg. All right, next tweet. Next one here is kind of the prediction market bet here. Sorry. Meanwhile, just 37% for a government shutdown. I'm old enough to remember a lot of hand wringing and worry and this, that, and the other thing. And I remember looking at you guys and saying, hey, you know, I'm not going to trade for this ahead of it. I'll just react to it. I went on to say, I think cooler heads are going to prevail. And I sure hope that that's the case. Then I reported news that Schumer and Trump were working together. And yes, I pinched myself to make sure that that was legitimate. And now looks like we are going to avoid this. The reality here is that government shutdowns are stupid. Neither the GOP or the Democrats want this. Let's hope we can avoid this and not have to discuss this anymore. So 37% now, down from its high. All right. One more thing that I want to do here, just one more thing, like they used to say at those Apple calls. I want to show you how you can use Benzinga Pro to stay on top of all of these people in the government that seem to know what's going on and buy a bunch of stock. So I'm going to give you a little demo here using Benzinga Pro in, all right, producer, we're not fighting today, okay? I'm going to give you a little demo here in how you can use Benzinga Pro in order to do this. This is a big time shout out to one of the regulars that joins our happy hour program in the evening. This feature has been available for a long time, and I had never thought to use it the way that this gentleman did. So right when we were going through this, I was like, oh man, this is phenomenal. Let's go ahead and turn this into a little lesson. So first of all, in Benzinga Pro, one of the best tools in Pro is called the calendar tool. And on the surface, I understand you could think, well, calendar, I know what day it is. Maybe that's not all that important. The reality is that the calendar tool in Benzinga Pro is almost like a market events tool. There's a ton of different things that this calendar tracks. And if I expand the drop down from the top of the tool, you can see all of these different things that this calendar has the ability to aggregate. One of these is called government trades. So if I select government trades here, and then I click on the date range, I can go ahead and click on all, or in this case, select a range. I've selected a range from let me actually just click on all here. Okay. So now I have all of the government transactions. Remember, anytime that you're using a calendar, you can sort this data table by any of the different columns. So what I've done here is I've actually sorted this by transaction date. So I have the most recent transaction dates right at the top. Well, check this out. Look at this purchase. Alliance Bernstein, ticker AB. This was purchased by Nancy Pelosi. And on top of that, she spent $1 to $5 million on this trade. That's not normal. And in fact, if you wanted to compare that against Nancy's other banger trades, one of the things that you can do is you can come in, you can come in here to filters. We can click on member name, and I'm just going to start typing Nancy. Now I have all of Nancy Pelosi's recent transactions. I can look at these and take a look and say, well, okay, normally when she's doing a transaction that's in the $1 million to $5 million range, these are sales. We all know why that's the case. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But what this is really interesting. Some of her recent purchases, boy, they've been the ones that you guys have heard about. Google, Amazon, Nvidia, Tempest, right? These are all tech stocks. But all of a sudden, she's buying Alliance Bernstein. Stock pays a dividend. who's following Nancy here? Perhaps more importantly than this is a great, easy to use tool where you can stay on top of all of these different transactions. I know I've showed you this feature before. When you're in the details tool and you click on government trades, it will show you all of the trades for that individual name. Please be advised, Benzinga Pro also has the ability to show you all of the recent government trades where you can check this every single day. So I've actually saved this and turned this into a workspace that I'm going to review every single day. Let me know if you folks are going to add ticker AB Alliance Bernstein on the back of that Nancy Pelosi ad. All right, folks, let's go ahead and bring 13 on. Let's see how he's doing. I'm going to go back to, actually, I'm going to go to my movers tool here. Let's go ahead and start everyone's favorite part of the show, pre-market pulse. 13, good morning. How you doing, boss?
I'm having a pretty good morning. Going through some of the movers and kind of not really liking what I'm seeing, but I feel like we'll still end up finding some stuff that we could trade. But some of the list that we have here today, I don't know about this stuff. But
okay, well, I'll tell you what, just right from the outset here, we are absolutely going to have a great day. It is Friday, so we are going to make sure that the vibes are high here. So even if these movers do not provide the best setups that we've seen, we're still going to make something of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and start here with Fat Brands. Perhaps not the best name, I suppose. Stock is up 440%.
Yep.
Looks like I'm having another issue with my chart here. Let me go ahead and refresh this.
It's been a little slow for me today too.
But are you getting something? Are you?
Yeah, I just have to. What I typically do when it slows down like that, I click between some of the other features and details. Like I go to financials or then back to chart real quick. That tends to clean it up a little bit quicker. But anyway, I mean, you're right, Lion. The movers today just don't look great, and we can start with Fat Brands. Which I mean, do you want to go on with this, or real quick, if you just go to overview, you can kind of give us some of the metrics you go through before I give my spiel.
Yeah. So, okay. So with Fat Brands here, this, first of all, this is a multi-brand restaurant franchising company that develops, markets, acquires, and manages quick service, fast casual dining. Looking at this, the stock is basically a ghost town. Trades about 241,000 shares. Today it's traded 25 million. The float on this one is extremely small. I've got a float reading here of 500,000 shares. Absolutely wild there. Short interest on this name, there's some, but it's negligible. 3.45% with 1 day to cover, so I don't see a whole lot there. Let's see if my chart's cooperating. Let me go ahead and report this. What do you got for us, though, 13?
So this company received a NASDAQ delisting notice earlier this week, and the company has opted to not fight that. They are going through Chapter 11 voluntarily, so this is probably one you're not want to even touch. On February 4th, all Fat Brand stocks, that's going to be FAT, FABB, and then there's one others. I think it's there's FABP. All of those will be suspended on the NASDAQ. This is going to be going over to the Pink Limited Market, OTC, and there's going to probably be a lot more illiquidity there, as you can imagine. So for this one, I don't think anybody should really touch this unless they're feeling super risky. You've got to understand the risk you're taking here by trying to trade a stock that is not going to be on the NASDAQ for a whole lot longer, less than a week actually, and is going through Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So that's what's going on with Fat Brands here. FAT is Class A, FATBB that you have up there is the Class Bs, and the cumulative preferreds are the FATBP. So if you are looking at those and you feel like you're feeling bold, that's up to you. But I would say avoid this if you can.
Okay. All right. Really good breakdown there. FATBB. Okay. Next we have here, and yeah, 13, it looked like that was just a hiccup. I'm good here with this, so appreciate you. Next one here is going to be VivoSim Labs. This is ticker VIVS. Looks like this stock really got rolling yesterday in the after hours. 550 looked to be the high. We set it down here in the pre-market. We're below the VWAP, but this is what's going on here. Yesterday after hours, VivoSim Lab signs JC Bio as an authorized distributor in Korea, Tekken Bio in China for Namkind toxicology services in liver and small intestine. So it looks like signing some more distributors here. Stocks up by 82%. Let's take a look at some of the stock structure here and short interest. 0.5% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. This comes on an average volume of 800,000 shares, traded 22 million plus here this morning. Float on this name, or excuse me, the float on this name, 2.87 million. So definitely smaller in the butter zone, if you will, that we like. What do you think here on this one? More or less risky than Fat BB?
Well, I don't think they're going through any bankruptcies, so probably a lot less risky than the Fat Brands one. The thing about this is that it is a biotech, so there's going to be a lot less likeliness to have this making any revenue, which I don't think it does. It has a very little cash, but enough to last several more quarters. As far as I can tell from, because they don't file quarterly, it looks like. Let me double check that because I had it on my annual setting. No, they do. Okay, so they still, they don't make a lot of money. They have about, like I said, a few quarters of cash. They're going to have to do a capital raise at some point unless they did that, and I just didn't see it. We have some insider selling. We've already mentioned how there could be a number of reasons for that, and it wasn't a whole lot, so might not be anything material. But as far as the chart goes, this thing lost its 65 EMA and the VWAP, and it has not been able to recapture it. So that's going to be the thing that we're going to want to see is getting back above those two indicators. Alternatively, if this continues to test the support area down around $3, where it was getting resistance from the first move in the after hours yesterday, it finally took it through it all the way up to 548. Then I would say that this is going to probably end up coming back down to the 200 EMA in the 5 minute and test that again. Could also fall through it at that point too. Now that being that this is going to be the third time it's going to be testing it, you hammer these moving averages enough times, eventually they're going to give way. So that I would think with this one, we could be seeing some more downside here if we cannot recapture the 65 and.
Okay, really good stuff there. VIVS VivoSim Labs. Let's keep moving here. Next is going to be PMN. This is Promise Neurosciences. Kathy, were you on this one here today? Stock closed at about $12 yesterday, popped above 20, actually looks like 22 earlier. Promise Neurosciences shares are trading higher. The company announced $175 million private placement financing. Stock is holding higher here by 52%. Quick peek at the short interest on this name, 1.21% with 1 day to cover. On average, this thing is a ghost town, trades 27,000 shares. Today, it's traded 4.4 million. It's got a float of 1.8 million. It actually does have some analyst coverage and intact short, medium, and long-term trends. So maybe this one will be a little bit better than some of those movers. What do you think here on ticker PMN?
This one was going through all the different steps to regain NASDAQ compliance because they lost it. And they did regain it. So they did do a 1-for-25 reverse split back in November. And here they are now raising the capital. So they're just going through all the motions. Great news for them. I think this will probably provide a lot better trades today. Looking at the 5 minute chart right now, this did just recapture after reversing off some of these, like the 15 and the 15 EMA and the 1660 area. We just recaptured VWAP. Going to want to see if this holds up. Now, we do have resistance up around 22, just shy of $22. So I would think maybe that that 21 and 25 cent area that seems to have it looks like the area where we might have the most resistance because we've been rejected up there multiple times, even though we printed a little bit higher than that. I would think that that whole area there from about 21 to 21 and change is probably going to be about where the resistance is. This does look like it's trading up into, I think you had Mark talking about ascending triangles. Yep. It kind of looks like we're trading up into that right now. You have this the highs from the pre-market and just pre-market up at that 21, almost 22 area, while you have a ascending price action. So that's rising up into what I believe is going to be an ascending triangle with the $22 area as a the $21 to $22 area as a breakout. right in that range where that those wicks are on the top, and just before they start to get weaker with that red candle.
Okay, and we'll see if the volume confirms that for us or tells us what to do. Okay, next here is going to be ANL. This is Adline Nordy. This also traded up in the after hours yesterday. Looks like it banged on the 14 level several times before coming in a little bit. It has been trading sideways here today, so it hasn't broke down. It's doing a really good job holding the plus 51% that it's doing right now. Take a look here. I don't have anything here on the news. I got nothing fresh here on the news. So unless someone else has found something out there, this looks like this is just kind of trading action. Quick peek at the short interest. 1% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Comes on an average volume of 599,000. Today we've done 2.3 million. Float here is just shy of 31 million. Again, also intact short, medium, and long-term trend. What do you think here on ANL 13? I don't think I've ever pulled this company up in my life. Clinical stage biotech company focused on discovery and development of cancer therapies. Okay.
I didn't cover this one. Not familiar with it. Just looking at the financials, it seems like they've got about 60 million, but that's that could be a different currency since this is an international stock. If that's the case, it looks like they're going to have to raise capital at some point. I don't know if they've done that recently or not. News. Let's see. Seems like there's some financial news. I don't know if that's necessarily meaning that they received money. I think it might just be a contract. But anyway, I didn't cover this one. I don't know enough about it. I just have to go to the technicals on this and tell you what I see there. It looks like a lot of sideways price action. That price action in the after hours kind of triple topped, and then we it sent us lower here, but we didn't completely break down. We actually found some support and just went sideways. So you have so since we're in this range, I would say it just depends on which way we break out of. So there's resistance to the upside around 1125. I would say that's going to probably be the breakout spot to the upside. But if we can't do that and we start going lower, it seems like the breakdown spot is going to be at about $9, maybe 9 and change, and that'll take us down to the 200 EMA, where maybe we'll get support there. That's at about 835.
Okay. All right, really good. I got 833 on there, but perfect breakdown. Let me ask you: did you have any any's on? All right.
Anything else?
Let's try something. English. Do you speak it? Do you have anything else on your list that you've covered?
Yeah, I took a look at what TCGL was, and this one was another one that I was just like, I don't know if I want to really touch this because.
Oh, that was the crazy one from yesterday?
Oh, not only that, well, you probably saw it in the after hours.
Oh, yeah. But in the regular session, too, this thing was an absolute halt fest yesterday.
Oh, yeah. And in the regular session, I think it was like up over 1,200%. What was this percentage that took us up to 440? So I don't know that I'd really necessarily be wanting to take a risk on this. Maybe there's some trades that you can get out of this. It is going sideways, kind of having a hard time getting back above 250, but it is riding this the VWAP and the 65 EMA up. So until that changes, I would be looking at 250, 225 to 250. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you this now. I'm not trading this here today.
Yeah, considerable risk on this one.
This to me, first of all, I bet this is toss restricted, but if I buy this, I'm definitely going to take a loss on it. I feel like so. This one I would definitely avoid here. You got anything else on your list that you can cover here? I actually need to step away. I'm just going to set you up for it.
No, I didn't look at anything else.
Okay. Well, that sucks for me then.
Well, let's take a ticker from the chat because I know.
Well, this is what I'd really like to get your opinion on here is SanDisk. We will cover ZSL. I know several of you folks are actually trading this. This is for the short silver ETF here. This is the ProShares Ultra Short Silver ETF. Really nothing to discuss here in terms of news. This is the ETF that is inversely correlated to silver. So if you think silver is going to keep going down, this is probably a good trade here today. Congrats and register rings to any of you folks that were making money off of this, trading this over the last couple of days here. But all right, let's go back to SanDisk here. 13, I already covered SanDisk's earnings. We just eye-popping numbers, 98% beat on the EPS, 16 and change percent beat on revenue. We're seeing SanDisk trade up here. Do you want a daily chart? Do you want an intraday chart? What do you want here? I'll be back in 2 minutes.
The daily chart's fine.
BRB.
Yeah, go ahead. I didn't even look at the earnings yet, but this move already looks like it was extended to begin with, and then we got the now we're printing 664, and it's even more extended. My initial thought is we're probably going to see this come back in a little bit, but at the same time, has been saying for a while now, these memory names, particularly Micron, could be the next NVIDIAs, and it's starting to shape up that way because they are, they have incredible backlogs. They have all their HPM bought for the entire year, or HBM, sorry, and but this move was already extended to start with, and now we have this even more extended move. So I think that this is going to see some reversion, but we could still continue higher. Like we could see this go to maybe 1,000 in the future. Micron could going to be well over 500, but all of that can happen if we start getting some of these these periods of cooling off. For example, with this one here, we did have a really nice rally. From September all the way up to November, and then we started cooling off, and because the RSI was pretty extended, and we caught support from the 50-day SMA and just went sideways for a bit, cooling the RSI. That's what I think we need to see more of with these names. We need to see some more cooling off so that they can go higher, because I think these are still going to continue to run, but we need to see some cooling off.
Okay. All right, we'll see if we get a pullback here. We'll see. Keep me posted if you like any on any of these names, not just SanDisk either. Any of the other memory names. I'm curious on that.
And MU, I was just mentioning, I think MU is still kind of following the footsteps of NVIDIA. It's already doing that, and I think it'll continue to do so. But we need to see some of these these corrective moves. NVIDIA had them. These names need to have them too.
Okay. We'll see if we get them. We can try and trade them. So if you've got nothing else here, was there anything else that looks any good here on the movers list? OCG, CISS.
Yeah. Jared's mentioning Western Digital. You got Seagate. You got
Okay, so let's take a look then at some of these bigger names. I'm going to go back to my regular chart here. We'll just do it right from this instead of using the movers tool for that, since these movers today kind of weak to begin with. So you want to go to Western Digital here?
Sure, we can take a look at that. They had earnings yesterday, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And let's see. So interesting. So one of the things I wanted to see is, did we get any type of analyst re-ratings on some of these names? Don't see anything here for Western Digital, but as you would expect, beat on the top and the bottom line, and a guide higher here substantially. Stocks higher by 2.91%. Part of me wonders, with the options pricing in a 9.3% move, if we just didn't get as much of a guide higher as maybe some were expecting. Gross margin expansion between 47 and 48%. I mean, this still seems like a good report. What do you got with the chart here?
Oh, let's take a look. I was just reading through some of the news, see if I could see anything.
Yeah, and actually, and really quick here, 13. Part of me wonders if Western Digital trades sideways here for maybe 1 or 2 sessions, sideways-ish. None of these memory stocks are really actually going sideways. But if it trades sideways-ish here, maybe that actually sets up for another break higher.
I mean, all these are, like I was just saying, like they're all very extended. I think they can still go higher, but I think they need to come back in and cool off, because we don't want them to continue going, and then when the time does come to sell, and it's coupled with, like, let's say maybe some geopolitical event or bad news, the downturn is going to be even more steep. So that's not necessarily what I'd like to see with these names. I'd like to see continued healthy movements to the upside, but you're going to get pullbacks in between. So maybe if this thing comes back down to 250, that'd probably be a good spot, maybe a little bit lower. But, storage is still a pretty big deal right now, whether it be with volatile memory like RAM, or static memory and traditional memory like hard drives and flash. So I think we just need to see some of these names come back in so that they can go higher again.
Yeah. I'm with you here. And actually, what I like this, EKS asking, I think, the right question here, and this is probably due for a discussion here.
Sure.
What is a corrective move? 5, 10% or more? Well, so first of all, I think both the 5, 10, and even 20% or less than 20% I consider personally a correction. But I'm wondering here, EKS, if you're asking with the backdrop of these memory stocks, because like, let's take a look. Like if I'm just going to eyeball where Western Digital is right now, and I'm just going to simply measure a pullback to the 20-day moving average. I don't really even think this is asking a whole lot. 13, I'd like to get your opinion or anyone else in the chat here, but asking for a pullback of any equity to its 20-day moving average, that's like a normal thing to have happen multiple times throughout the course of a year. Yeah. On WDC, that move is 19.3%. If we look at SanDisk, it's even crazier, right? So if we look at SanDisk and we do the exact same thing here, please tell me that my chart's not going to die right when I'm trying to do. You got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me.
So generally, I view pullbacks as being between, 5 to almost 10%. When you get to 10%, then we get into correction territory. Correction territory for me is going to be 10 to up to 20%. But when you get to 20%, then you're in bear market territory. So the way I was, taught is that's the definition of pullback versus correction versus bear market. It's the smaller amounts pullback, the larger amounts corrective. When markets get really bad, that's a bear market.
Okay. Thank you for filling in there. I'm sorry about being impatient. With the SanDisk chart here, just to kind of finish off my example, a pullback from where we are right now to the 20-day moving average is 35%. 35%. So EKS, I would be curious, how do you look at this in terms of like these stocks? Like if SanDisk pulled back, let's not even say 35. If SanDisk pulled back 25% here today, how would you view that? Would you view it as a 25% discount? Would you view it as maybe a change in sentiment? Would you view it simply as a corrective move that might lead to buying and a potential swing to the upside? How does this calculus? This is how I would put. How does the calculus change when a stock is super extended like this?
So I'm sorry, what's
I'm asking anyway.
Okay.
I think this is a really good discussion topic. So I'm asking you for your opinion and anyone else in the chat, because we often get asked, should I buy this here? Well, first of all, none of us can recommend that you buy anything anywhere. That's going to be up to you. You push the buttons, you determine that, not anyone else in the chat. Please don't blindly follow people. But I think from a discussion standpoint here, when we see these big time momentum stocks, when they pull back, the real good question is this an ad spot? Is this somewhere where we can buy this? Now, when we're starting to look at some of these that are extremely extended, these percentages, I mean, like if this pulled back 25% and then traded sideways at all, I'm almost thinking that might be a potential for an upside trade just from this corrective move, especially if you think that this theme has more legs and inevitably these stocks are going to go higher.
Well, if it's going to go down 35%, it might stay down in that area for a little bit as it gets its footing. I don't want to predict price action. I mean, we've seen a lot of these corrective moves happen really fast in some names. We saw it happen extremely fast during COVID. The entire market just went into a crash mode and then it recovered very, very quickly. So I think that, just because we're getting these mean reversions, that takes us into basically bear territory for some of these stocks. To me, that's going to signal that there may be some continuation or some establishment of a little bit more downside or some footing to turn it around. It's really going to depend on what the price action looks like at the time, because if it seems like if there's a lot of liquidity, we could see this stick around for a while. But if it's illiquid, it could whip around quite a bit. So if we get down there, I would have to see what it's doing at the time. But right now, what I can tell you what it's doing is that it's getting very extended. So that's why I think that this needs to come back in, because it's extremely extended.
I totally get it. Just answering my general question here to the group, G-Man said, look, you keep going if there is a catalyst, and there absolutely seems to be a catalyst, especially on these memory names. EKS say, I look at relative volume. If it's less than or equal to 1 or 1.5 times. So you're basically also looking at the volume to see if that is shrinking a little bit more. Maybe then you could end up seeing that corrective move. Yeah.
Relative volume is great for scanning.
It's one of my favorite things in the entire market.
And you can do this prior to like the following day, because you'll be able to find some of these names that could move, because sometimes these relative volume plays, they don't just happen, 1 or 2 days. It could go on for several days. So great, EKS bringing up relative volume. That's a great way to scan for things. And I typically look at 1.5 times volume.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff. By the way, daily RVOL, traditional RVOL that EKS just mentioned, is in the Benzinga Pro scanner. That is what I would encourage you to use, especially if you're scanning outside of market hours when you have that entire daily candle formed. Okay.
And here
let's open it up.
And Jay, to answer your question, no, I haven't. I've been in sell mode as of late, so I haven't been really buying anything. Been selling some stuff. Sold yesterday. Sold Albemarle, some more Lockheed, and a little bit of Tyson.
Okay, really good stuff. Here is VIVS. Looks like that is battling at its 200 EMA. Let's see what else we have in here. PMN, this was also off of our movers list.
Yep. Let's see some of these other ones. Yeah, so I'm probably going to take these other names that we were looking at, like TCGL. This is still just doing nothing, and it seems to be, the spread is $10, folks. I'm taking this off my chart.
Good idea, 13.
I don't want to even be tempted with that.
13, I don't know. I think you were on for the street tweet segment. What do you make about the possibility of SpaceX merging with Tesla or XAI?
Well, if that happens, we might not see Tesla as very much a car company anymore, which a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people don't believe that it is. That it's a technology company. That might give us a better idea of what the valuation could be, since we know what the valuation is of Tesla. That would probably run into a lot of regulatory hurdles, now that I think about it, because they're not going to have a monopoly on cars or space or AI, but they could be a pretty dominant force with all that going on. I mean, they're going to be like the space company if they do all that. They're going to build their own robots and send them to other planets, get us ready for our arrival. I mean, we could go on and on about this, but I think that would be a massive thing for them to merge with all those companies at once. It would make them a pretty formidable conglomerate, in my opinion.
Okay, we'll see if we end up getting that here. Sorry, I must be struggling with my charts again here. Let me try actually refreshing here.
We are getting some upside a little bit here in PMN as we try to hold the VWAP. Just got a little bit of a pullback in. I'm not sure about this one. It looks like the momentum is starting to roll over to the downside. So if we lose VWAP, that's probably going to be an indicator that we're coming down to test 1675, maybe lower around the 65 EMA at 1463. Looks like some of these space names are not having a bad morning. Redwire blasting off right now, coming up to the trend line that we've had on our daily chart. So if we hit that, it's going to be in about the 1370s, 1380s, maybe. Really nice move here out of the gate here with Redwire. Do they have news? What is this move?
Redwire up 6% here. Let's check and see if they had any news on that. Yeah. So REX shares launches. Oh no. Okay. So this is so interesting. So we got a new 2x long for Redwire from the T-Rex company.
Wow. Okay. That's cool.
REX.
Okay. So yeah, that's going to, okay. Have fun.
No.
That's great. I mean, that's great. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just,
I'm sorry. The ticker. That's my fault, guys. RDWU is the actual ticker of the ETF. The company is Rex. I apologize. This is today. Today is its first day of trading, by the way. So that's higher.
Yeah, that's great. No, I mean that makes a lot of sense. But it's great, especially if you already had this. So congratulations if you did. But that seems pretty cool. I say that, and I'm really concerned about ETFs at the same time because we've got so many of them. Then a lot of them are leveraged now. We've got more ETFs than we do stocks. I think we have an ETF bubble. So I mean, it's cool that we have these tools to try and trade, red wire to the upside at a leveraged pace. But it's going to be bad when we switch to selling because going from long 2x to selling red wire shares to the, if you're going to go short or shorting red wire shares, that's like a 3x move to the downside. Anyway. Cool information there. PMN is halted to the downside now, so we did lose that VWAP. Feed is moving again. ASTS and Rocket Lab are literally flying. True about Rocket Lab and ASTS. They are both very much up in the sky. Let's take a look at those stocks as well. All right, so I mean, maybe I should just go to the space watch list and see what's going on, because I'm sure that's looking pretty green. And the only one that's red today is EchoStar, SATS. Everything else on the space list is green. And Satellogic looks to be the best mover on the space list so far. It's SATL up almost 9%. Fantastic. MRAM is up 15%, says Lynn. I think we looked at that one.
MRAM. Got it.
Everspin Technologies. This is a semiconductor name.
Yeah, I don't have any fresh news on this one, but this is indeed up 15% here.
The Form 8 is must have something in it that was released today. Okay.
Wow, what a move.
Yes. Okay, so here we go. MSTI. No, that's not it. MRAM, a semiconductor special. Okay, I'm not going to go through this entire thing here, but this Form 8, I think, is probably what's causing it to move. So if you want to send an AI through that or read it yourself, that's where I think the news is causing this to move. All right, so a little bit pullback there in Redwire, VIVS. This trying to hold above the 200 EMA. Just be careful. If we lose, we start closing underneath that multiple times. We already got one close beneath it. If we start closing underneath it multiple times, we're going to head lower.
MP, this is actually trading up here. This is a good mention there, G-Man.
Oh yeah, that was okay. So the reason the reason why all these rare earths and metals are coming down, right? With the Trump administration not guaranteeing a minimum price.
Yep.
So MP Materials says that's not the case with us. So we'll see if whether or not this announcement or whatever this statement from the Trump administration is actually going to hold water or not. But this is saying it's a report suggesting that they're not going to guarantee. So I don't know if that's even definitive. Why did Rocket and other mortgage companies plummet? Because we had the rate decision hold, I think.
Yeah, there was something else though. Felicia mentioned this last night. I'm drawing a huge blank. I'm sorry. I'm.
That's perfect. Yeah, if you can remember what that was.
I can't, dude. I can't. I rely on your notes so much. Much, and we didn't have them for yesterday.
I'm sorry, I was gone.
No, I know. We talked about like a million things though yesterday. I cannot remember what. Felicia, are you here? She's often here in the morning. If you're here, can you answer that for David? Oh my God, I'm so angry at myself.
Just put the jet signal in the sky. She'll show up.
She might have left when Mark Putrino said God was a Patriots fan.
There's no way he's a Patriots fan. If he were a Patriots fan, Belichick would be in the Hall of Fame.
I'm not even gonna.
I know.
Gonna touch that.
And we have differing opinions about that, and we're not going to get into it.
Not here. That's for sure. Here is your chart for Rocket. This plummeting here. Oh my God. I'm going to email her just in case she's not here. I'm going to email her. I'm so sorry. Literally just talked about this.
Jared, just so you know, I didn't sell all of my ALB. I have a plan to unwind this over time. I just was planning on selling some more toward the end of this month. I still have some ALB. It's up to you if you want to sell or not, because this news that is pulling down all kinds of minerals and lithium and other things. But my prospect on this is still for higher. So it's going to have to be up to you. Consult a financial advisor. If I don't know what your plan is for this, my plan is a little bit more long term. It's still part of my battery theme. But I have to admit there could be some more downside before we start coming back up. Got to admit that.
Oh, thank you. Just passing through. Oh my God. Thank you so much for this. Okay. Now I remember. Oh, you know what? Bonus points for just passing through today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. So she covered the Pulte Homes earnings report yesterday.
Okay.
And she said that one of the craziest things was that it seemed like, we've been talking about how there's just not enough houses. But what Pulte was saying is that they actually are not going to build more because they don't think they can sell them. And we had a discussion about, well, what is it going to take for that to change? We've talked a lot about the interest rates, but the other thing that we talked about is that housing prices seem to really need to come in. Like the only way that the affordability thing is going to be solved is if housing prices come in. And with the pause there that you kind of had mentioned at the beginning of this, we're not sure when the other factor of this, when the interest rates are going to change. And as a result, that doesn't sound good for mortgage origination here at all. The numbers have been down. It looks like they're going to do like a cap on building due to labor, just like just passing through is saying here. That is exactly what she said yesterday. And that is 100% playing into Rocket here today. Thank you, just passing through, for the reminder there. David, I'm sorry, I couldn't remember right off the top of my head. We have a real estate expert that joins almost every single happy hour and gives us a report on all of that. And I just wanted to make sure that I quoted it correctly. So just passing through, really appreciate that. Good stuff there on Rocket.
Excellent.
That's what a team does there, folks. That's what a team does there.
Yeah, and don't worry, a lot of folks have been mentioning things that I do, want to own at some point, but just, I'll get there. What is TCGL doing? Is it because, it had that massive spread and it probably went to the upside. Somebody decided, I'll take a little bit and ended up, sending the price up high. Let's see what we have here. TCGL. Oh, look at that. It popped up and now it's coming back in. Let me look at this on a different chart here. Let's see here. Okay, so we pretty much hit the high area from earlier this morning in pre-market. How many shares have been traded here so far this morning?
TCGL, I have this trading 400,000 shares this morning.
Interesting. I'm looking at a 5-minute chart and it's giving me candles that don't go any higher than 25,000. But this, like I said, be careful with this one. It's very, very spready.
Definitely.
And sure, it could make for some really good upside trades, but it also could make for some very awful downside trades. And we just, let's see, do we hit the exact price? That was 260. 261.71, so very close. That 730 high was 260, and we just hit 261.71, and now we're coming back down towards the this demand zone, even though I think this is not going to hold up.
Seeing a couple of NVIDIA call sweeps here. NVIDIA is trying to trade to the upside. We talked about this maybe pressuring this upside resistance area. Maybe NVIDIA finally is going to try and break this area and go higher. Call buying on the back of this move here. Apple, by the way, this actually rolled a little bit lower here. We talked about that really trading up in the pre-market right ahead of the open. Looks like it's actually rolling over now. Having all kinds of accuracy issues with my hand here. Here's the Apple chart. I think 250, 248 might be the next spot here.
Folks that are mentioning feed, this is kind of interesting. When we had this run up to $5 exactly in the pre-market, and we tried to do that same thing after we opened. Problem is, we're having a hard time holding above VWAP right now. But if we do manage to get above it, I'd be looking at $5 as a breakout spot. Next resistance I have above $5 is 885.
Okay. Okay, folks, I teased this at the beginning. We do have another all access here today. It's actually less than 10 minutes. I think it's only like a 7-minute or so all access. We're going to be doing that here in just about 2 minutes, but don't go anywhere because 13 and I are both coming back as soon as that's done. All access is on a solar company. Might be interesting for you. But yeah, we're going to be doing that here just about a minute, 13.
Sounds good. I'll be ready. Maybe get a chance to sip more coffee. So GLW Corning, this
That's
is the
Corning.
fiber optics company, I believe, right?
Yep.
The one that was acquired. Who acquired them? I forgot. Is
It wasn't. It was the Corning announces. No. It was lower that Corning and Meta announce a multi-year $6 billion agreement for the data center build out.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's what it was. And yeah, Meta and Google still laying fiber optic cable around the world. So it seems like they want to connect their own data centers and have their own secure network worldwide. But you want to test me, Cam? I bet I can. But I might be spinning my head by the time we get back. Anyway, so the whole fiber optics play has been great. I mean, look at this thing. Where are we at right now at this? This has been like marching up the last time I looked at it. Here we are. So what do you think, Ryan? You think we got ourselves an island?
On GLW?
Uh-huh.
Sure do. Yeah, 13. Great call. And look, we back tested it. Oh, 13. Yep. Thanks for forcing me to. You just had to slap me across the face with the chart, bro. That's all you had to do. You had to do. And actually, looking at the option chain here, the 110, but you could probably get for 350, the 110 Fed call. I like it. Okay. All right, folks, let's go ahead and do this all access. We both, 13 and I, will be right back here. Let's just go ahead and get this done. All access starts right now. Thanks so much, Ryan, and welcome back to another All Access Zingers. I got another exciting one for you here today. It is going to be with Ascent Solar Technologies, and we're going to be talking to CEO Paul Worley. The ticker is ASTI on the NASDAQ. All Access starts right now. All right, Paul, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Ryan?
I'm doing really well. This is an exciting day. So Paul Worley, CEO of Ascent Solar Technologies. Ascent Solar Technologies is a leading provider of innovative, high-performance, flexible, thin-film solar panels for use in scenarios where rigid panels just simply don't work. Paul, thanks for taking some time to join us here today. I'm super interested in this. Let me just dive right in here. This year has been a busy one for you in Ascent Solar Technologies as the company expands further into the solar space market. Can you tell us about some of the customer wins?
Yes. A lot of them I have NDAs in place and can't mention, but we have signed agreements with Nova Spark, which is a terrestrial use of our product. We also signed an agreement with Intel to represent their batteries in space. And then in space, Cislunar, Defiant, Starcatcher, Novi Space, and others. Novi's interested. That's one we're flying in a couple of weeks there. And we just won a deal for a high altitude balloon, a high altitude blimp. So we're working with another company for underwater. So I'm trying to go from space to below sea level.
Boy, you're gonna have all of the angles covered here. That sounds really awesome. Now, just sticking with space for a sec, why is space so ideally suited for solar, particularly the thin film photovoltaic solutions like the one Ascent Solar makes?
So you really break down solar, and I call it into three categories. You have us, then you have other silicon, and then the high-end silicon is gallium arsenide. There's not a lot of capacity in gallium arsenide. We have probably 1.5 to 2.5 times the total capacity in gallium arsenide. Gallium arsenide was the first solar in space. And then you have, I would call, other solar. But for instance, Starlink, they put together their own solar. What's exciting about our product is we're lighter weight than everybody. We're very flexible, so you can roll it up and unroll it. So if you want to move a satellite, you can move the satellite easier. Or if you know there's going to be certain space debris coming, You can roll it up to protect the solar. So that's an area where we have, and also we're much lighter, so it costs less to put us into space.
Okay, that sounds really, really interesting and a really good planning there. Listen, what gives Ascent Solar an edge over other solar companies, and how is the company able to cut manufacturing time?
Well, first, I've had a plant. We've had a plant for over 15 years, so I'm manufactured ready. Okay, so we have the capability of producing 3.5 to 5 megawatts a year. So that's one distinct advantage. We can also uh, create um, arrays or for the solar that fit to whatever the customer needs. You can't do that with silicon very easily. So that's another area that we specialize in, and so that helps us. The manufacturing readiness helps us for if people need an order quickly. Gallium arsenide, the lead time on average is now 18 to 24 months.
Okay, so much faster, much fast. That's a huge edge. In addition to the customer wins, Ascent Solar has been entering into partnerships to jointly go after the space market. Can you
Yes.
tell us about that strategy and what the company has been doing in that area?
It's all around power. It's like Cislunar does power management. The deal we cut with Intel is a different type of battery, okay, which could add some advantages under Golden Dome. And then some of the other companies, um, Starcatcher catches power and beams the power. We're in the process of talking to people that laser or beam power.
Okay, that sounds like you're on a lot of exciting leading edges there. That's pretty cool. Speaking of which, what's in store for Ascent Solar in 2026, given the company recently closed a $2 million private placement?
From a capital standpoint, we're well set up, but it's to execute on some of these customers that we're bringing in. That's the primary goal. Um, you know, the good news is I now have customers referring us to other people, which is that's the first sign of the things that I like. But that's really our primary goal is to execute and improve our efficiencies. So we've got 2 or 3 initiatives to improve efficiencies of our product also.
Okay, awesome. Power generation is a huge topic right now. Solar is a big part of that. I'm excited to see where you go. Thanks for joining us today, Paul.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, folks, that was Paul Worley, CEO of Ascent Solar Technology, ticker ASTI on the NASDAQ. And now sending it back to Ryan. All right. Thanks, Ryan. Cam, I love when I'm able to throw it to myself too. It's almost like we're doing a little bit of a time warp, time meld type thing. I really like that. The nerd in me really likes that. So really good stuff there. Okay. First of all, I want to highlight a couple of comments here from that. 13, batteries, Golden Dome. Hey, it's almost like those are themes that our group has been talking about for some time here. We'll really, really appreciate that. That's really awesome. ASTI looks to be on top of that. And then Frozen King here, I like this too. Without space elevators, who cares about space solar farms? Well, he was just telling you that they're using lighter materials, so it's not that bad to get up there. But I'm with you on the space elevator. I remember reading about that years ago. That seems to be a really easy way to bring things to and from low Earth orbit. I still think there's a place even before that gets invented, but we always talk about thing behind the thing, space plays. We get a space elevator play. Just saying that might be important.
You'll have to send me some material on space elevators. Does this have anything to do with, actually having, structures on the ground? Because we can't, there's a whole engineering problem about being able to build into the atmosphere that high. We can't no structure will support that.
Yeah, like I said, this is a problem that needs to be solved. The thought here is that the ability to get things to and from space would become exponentially cheaper by doing this. Now, you're asking me, how can they actually accomplish this? Boy, I wish I had an engineering degree so that I could answer that for you. But as I come across more stuff, I'll definitely send it to you. Space elevators have something the scientists have been talking about for a long, long time. I mean, I'm talking like even books in the mid 2000s that I was reading, they would talk about space elevators really kind of being the next thing there.
Okay, this would need to know how that works. I mean, like I said, you can't build a structure from the surface of the Earth into outer space. It just there's no way that would work given the weight and the ability to for the surface of the Earth to hold that kind of weight, and there's a lot of problems. So I'd be curious to see how they want to accomplish that.
I was going to say, that's why if they figure it out, big time thing there. Okay, Jay also mentioned
Yes.
AAOI here. AAOI is the fiber optic space play. It's wild name, gaps all over the place, has a new laser, very volatile, and short interest is high. So here's what the chart looks like intraday here. AAOI, big move up to 48. As far as the short interest goes, 18.56% of the float shorted, not quite at our high threshold, but right there, days to cover 2.68. So definitely not a negligible amount of short interest here on AAOI. Here's what your daily chart looks like too. Look at this move.
Go to a weekly.
You got it?
Now
Oh,
back out
yeah.
a bit. Back out a bit.
Oh, yeah, babe. There we go.
That's what I'm talking about. This is looking like this is coming off a rounding bottom. And $50 looks like the next potential breakout spot or site of rejection.
And I think that probably sends it to 60, no?
Well, I mean, yeah, that just depends on what happens up here. But if you look at what happened in the summer of 2018, we kind of topped out at that $50 area and then came back in. But that was after we had gone through $50 back in 2017. And that area was previously support that turned into resistance. So here we are coming back up to a almost decades-long resistance area. Decade-long resistance area, and $50. That to me looks like the spot where we could break out. And if it does, I would. My first thought is maybe this goes to 55. I can see it maybe going to 60, but 55 has some resistance in the way. But this looks like we're getting a rounding bottom here. I think there's a potential for this to go up to 100, but there would have to be some more news out of space. This is fiber optic space play. I'm going to put this on my space watch list just for funsies here. Anyway, so yeah, this way the chart looks, it's pretty encouraging that we're going to get some more upside here. But that $50 spot, big question mark, is whether or not we're going to get resistance there at first, back off, and then break through it later, or if we're going to get through it pretty soon.
Okay, good mention there. AAOI. AAOI. Deckers, first time in a while it's beat. There's some green shoots and other retail names. What other retail names do you like on that?
Looks like we're getting a lot of back and forth here, and a lot of things. Microsoft kind of back and forth. It went up to 439.50, backed off down to 432. Now we're back up almost near the open.
I'll take that. I'll take that. This was an ad at 425. Remember on this one, we did the March 500 calls. That was a great alert there by Parker's Thinkorswim Indicators if you're out there. Yes, I saw this too. Tris, thank you. So this is one of the things that I was reading about in some of those books years ago. I saw a lecture years ago. They were talking about carbon nanotube filaments and how you can weave those into massively strong tethers for the elevator to achieve the strength. You also obviously need to have something in orbit matching the speed. Look, I don't have all of the specifics for you on that, but really interesting stuff. And people smarter than me are working on solving this problem. As you had said earlier, eventually AI will be able to solve this. I kind of feel the same way. I think we might be getting closer there if we're able to learn things from that or have AI help us construct that. Okay. Joe, you picked up some of those 2 March 20 calls. What was that for? It wasn't Microsoft, unless you meant March 520 calls or 420 calls. Anyway, Way.
So take care, Lion. He's going to go shop around. G-Man mentioning that Rocket Lab and ASTS are getting hit. So it looks like, let me just go over here to the space names. Certainly we are getting some red on the screen here now. Rocket Lab kind of now almost approaching flat. What else did you say? You said Rocket Lab and ASTS. ASTS still positive on the day, but looks like that's come back in a little bit as well. Getting some support from the pre-market area around around 122. We'll see if that holds up. 122, 123, that sideways area.
Okay. The March, okay, that was the expiry. Sorry, Joe. March 2500 Microsoft calls. Okay, sick. And yeah, Lion, I know your March 450 calls, those are also cooking. Working here so far.
Jay had mentioned Gap. That's coming up to.
Oh, that's that retailer, yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up off of what I think might be it might be a double bottom. It kind of looks like it, but it's coming off of this bottoming area from underneath 8, and now we're coming up to some resistance around $30. So $30, if we can get through that, I'd say 35 certainly on the table. That looks to be the next resistance area above 30.
Okay. VIVS is getting mentioned here by Mo. Good morning, Mo. I don't think I said good morning to you. This does look like a curl here through that 200 EMA. Maybe this gets rolling here.
It's got to get past that 65 EMA. Since we lost it earlier this morning, and it's been getting support from the 200. Well, they recaptured it just now. We need to see this 65 EMA get taken out. Otherwise, I think we fall back beneath the 200.
And we would also like to see that volume expand. That would be pretty sweet too for a potential curl move to and through the VWAP. We'll see. Joe mentioning that the gold plunge continues. I guess you could probably blame this on me. We had a discussion yesterday amongst a couple of coworkers here, and one of them was like, yeah, I bought silver here and thought maybe that's a topping signal for gold and silver. And then this is what we get here today. So that's what we're going with. So that might have been my fault. Sorry about that. Looking
Morning,
at you,
Mo.
Ryan.
Morning, Mo. But the 8th was the first to America. I'm not the 8th. I'm the 13th.
I got you.
ONDS getting spanked. Maybe
yes, it is
broken out. Maybe Ukraine ceasefire. I'm not sure that we're necessarily done with this, but
yeah. So here's what I'll say about the Ukraine ceasefire. So I can definitely see drone stocks as a whole, Ondas and others, coming back in on headlines of that conflict ending. But don't forget, that conflict ending or not, the U.S. is still going to increase the budget for defense. They are going to focus a lot on drones. Even with that, as let's call it a headwind, this trade idea is still intact. The other thing is here, we talked about this last time when this really kind of spiked up to like the 1160s here. It pulled back 57% to the low. Well, if we get something similar from this other move here, let's do that. 57%. This basically puts us, look at that, puts us right at the 200 EMA. That value's down there in a 6 handle. I personally wouldn't like to see it go that high. I'd love to see this hold 10 on this continued pullback. We do have the 65 EMA on the daily there at 985. That might creep up a little bit here if it takes a while to come down to 10 as well. So this is kind of what I'd be looking at here. Really hopes that this holds 10. Might actually be able to add there. I wouldn't add stock to this. I'd probably try to trade this with options if I wanted to add and just hang on to the stock that I have.
Yeah, and you also have the price action since we've been taking off here. Well, I'm looking at the weekly chart. That's been riding the 20-week SMA pretty well. So that would be a loss of that would be probably like my signal. But I do like your $10 support area.
Yeah, and just kind of like looking at this, like again on the daily chart, like I'm almost thinking here, how do I draw that curved line again? I don't draw those very often, but basically what I'm thinking is something like this, and then this. You know what? Let me do this, and then something like that. Right? That's what I'm hoping we see here.
Look at your weekly. I think it's. We got a golden cross back in October. That looks like we're coming off of sustained bottom here, but I think that 20-week is something that we should really be keeping an eye on. If we lose that, then we're likely to see more downside.
Okay. What value do you have for that again?
I have 1083.
1083. So pretty much right where we're at here. Okay. Good stuff there on DOS. All right.
No. I'm sorry. That was the price. I looked at the wrong thing. No, it's at 890. I'm sorry.
890. Okay. And actually, that's what we talked about before. I think we talked about an $8 level would probably mark the bottom there. That would be better than 6 for sure. By the way, Verizon, ticker VZ here. This is up on the back of its earnings. Verizon shares trading higher if the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results and issued full year 26 guidance. EPS above estimates. This stock's actually rolling higher here. This still pays a pretty decent dividend too, doesn't it?
At this price, not as great as it was when it was traded, when it was much lower, like in 22.
Yeah, 6.79% yield.
And Mo, great ad there on VIVS. Here we are hitting this 65 EMA. The question right now is, can we get through this? Great ad under 3.
Yeah, and that was a good mention there to the group. You guys were on this really before it started curling there.
Well, let's see if this can make its way through the 65 EMA. I have that value at 317, and we're hitting that right now. Here we are, new candle. Let's see if we can break through or get rejected. Make sure you got your stop out. Feed is feeding you again. Eat, Bob, eat. Keep on eating.
You just love to hear it. I just love to see our community continue to just better themselves. It's absolutely awesome. Literally motivates me every single day. 5 still a key level here.
Ooh, Jay, is it okay if I maybe get that too? If can Ryan share it with me? I'd love to look at your list of names.
I don't think in all the time that I've known Jay, I don't think that there's ever been something that he shared with me that he has told me I cannot share. So
I just want to be polite and ask.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. Jay, I don't have it yet, but I did notice that X Pro like updates the messages slower than the regular X website. So I'll get that over to you though, 13, no doubt.
Excellent. Thank you.
There it is. There it is, Jay. I got you.
Kevin Feenan asking, what do you think of this JPM prediction of 8,000 gold by April based on movement out of bonds and into gold? By April? I'd have to think about that. I really would. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I would need to read that story or what their thought is on that, because I understand that bonds are kind of falling out of favor. So Jay, I don't have
here. It's okay. It's okay, guys. I took care of all of this. Daddy's got you. Daddy's got you. The tweet that Jay sent me here is in the chat. Anyone that wants that, go ahead. Anne-Marie, I'll send that to you individually as well.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm going to pull that up. All right. I like to see some of these. I saw at least some airline names on there because, yeah, those were getting pretty extended. Thank you for the list. I'm gonna look at this later.
Yeah, Jay does a good job finding some of these. This is not the first time he sent me something that I've actually gone back and referenced at another time later on. So really good stuff there, Jay. Appreciate you sharing anything here with the group. I will help facilitate that.
Okay, so VIVS, we're still in this candle that's trying to hold above the 65 EMA. A little concerned that we're going to have trouble with that, but let's just see what we get here. Got 2 minutes left in this 5-minute candle. Meanwhile, I'm going to take a look at some of these other things here. Microsoft coming back up to test some of those pre-market highs.
Let's go, dude. Let's go. Let's have Microsoft bust a move here. I would love it, man. I would love it. I tell you what, Lion, I know you'd love this too. I mean, if we get a really quick return to 450 in this Microsoft, those calls you have are already going to be like 100%. That's just, there'll be more than that probably.
Joe, I think
that's the new highs today. Sorry.
A lot of the gold pullback, I think, has been linked to Trump's Fed chair decision.
I think so too. I think more so than the government shutdown.
Yeah.
I think it's more on the Fed chair.
Yeah.
I think there was so much rhetoric
Fear.
that it's just rhetoric, fear. Yes, man. I don't think Warsh is going to do that.
No.
So
because so that was the whole thing. It calmed markets down because they were worried about more inflation getting out of control, persisting on rate cuts, and now with this decision, this just pick, the analysts and traders and everybody, they're all viewing this as a little bit more level-headed, and maybe we don't see this incredible rally in gold and silver continue as a result of that, but we'll see what happens after a pullback.
All right, it's time, folks. Let's flood the chat with the register rings. Let's be a good human. Fed me well too today.
Nice.
Did my 3 trades and I'm out for the day. Enjoy your weekend. Let's be a good human. That is positive karma, dude. You have yourself a great one. You and yours and all of your family. Awesome stuff. Feed is spiking. Feed did go through 5 register rings all around for the group. I know we're still waiting on VIVS maybe to move through the VWAP here, but really good stuff on feed for you folks.
Absolutely. That was great. Actually, we got a rejection there for VIVS at the 65 EMA. So this isn't what we want to see, but it is consistent with what we have been seeing. As long as we can hold above the 200 EMA right now, maybe even we'll throw VWAP in there. The next visit up to, if it's in short order, the next visit up to the 65 EMA may feature a breakout.
Jay says, I disagree. The silver and gold went too far too fast. Also, the dollar is bid today. Nothing to do with the new Fed chair. You don't think those two things, you don't think it could be both of those? You don't think the fact that it was extended and now you get a Fed chair that's really not going to shake the independence? You don't think that's related at all? I'm with you on the too far too fast. That was something that we had been talking about for a while. I just think that both can be true.
And in that context of going too far too fast, it seems like they were looking for any good excuse to sell gold and silver, and I think that's what they latched onto.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I can agree with both sides. Like I agree that we went too far too fast with silver, and then and with the dollar bidding, but now we have the new Fed chair. I wouldn't say it has nothing to do with it, but I think that was probably the excuse they latched onto. It's 100% the Fed chair, says Henry. This is why we have a market, folks.
That's exactly right.
And here we go with VIVS.
That's why we see volatility. VIVS, let's do it.
VIVS, let's get that break over 65 EMA. Need to see that volume expand. Let's go. And then that should the next area where we have some resistance is going to be up in the almost to 340 in VIVS.
Don't see anything wild on the options yet either. I was doing some other stuff, so I was poking around at some other things, but haven't seen anything totally crazy yet. Looks like closing an app trade. Nice. App actually really pulled back. This is down 5% here today, but those were 480 calls, so that guy's still doing all right, or that trader. Sorry.
I just for funsies, I just went back and looked at TCGL. That thing continuing to give back what it took this morning. It went up to over 250. Now we're back to 209. Just man, be careful with this one. We were looking at VIVS. This looks like we can manage a trade out of this much more easily than a spread demon like a TCGL.
Spread demon. I still want to see what VIVS does at the VWAP there, if it can actually clear it out. How's Sandus doing here today? 621. All right, so this is actually being supported by the 200 EMA. Looks like it's trying to bounce a little bit here.
Ooh. We are still having a time with in VIVS that 65 EMA. I want to see a good move away from this moving average, and we're still flirting with it. PMN, this one. I think it was brought up, but this is not looking great. We just halted to the downside, losing the 65 EMA. This thing looks as if it could, give back everything, go back down to 1240.
Yeah, I was just looking at Netflix here. I know Netflix is one. Oops, not there. Netflix is one that we have been talking about quite a bit here. Look, that low 80s level held yet again. Look, 82 again. This was where it sold off to yesterday. Pre-market, nice little bounce here for Netflix. So for those of you that are looking for Netflix, it looks like we're getting a little bit of this kind of consolidation down here right at the support level. So if this stays above 80, keeps going sideways here, the longer it goes, perhaps the more compressed this is going to be, and maybe we actually get that move higher.
Well, you know my thought on Netflix. I'm not convinced that we're turning around quite yet.
Sure. This is one we're going to keep watching here too. And again, I know a lot of you talking about dollar cost averaging here because you're taking a more longer term approach, which I do think is the right move on this as opposed to timing it.
Yeah, for longer term approaches, that's worked really well for me. Here we go, finally with this VIVS move that I want to see. Hopefully this takes us where I'd like it to go. Yeah, dollar cost averaging, if you're doing that to get into a very long-term stock that pays dividends and this and that, then that's probably the better approach to go to. It's what I've done with a lot of names, but I'm not just don't try and just start picking things up when they're making new all-time highs. I prefer to buy on weakness, and this is weakness in Netflix.
Yeah. And as far as this VIVS entry was down there at 290, we would love to see this break through the VWAP there. I don't feel great about the breakout trades. Really, that recapture of the 500 was it on this one.
Here we go. I'm going to raise my stop.
Lion says the oil stocks are ripping. We did have several report earnings here. Here's Chevron. They reported earnings here. They actually initially went lower, but have gone red to green since then. It's up by 1%. I believe XOM also reported here. This one's actually down a little bit, but significantly up off of its lows. Remember, I closed COP yesterday. Closed this when this thing actually traded above 105. So this is back down here at 103. It might be some more moves in this, but at least we were able to book that one up. I did get stopped out. I told you guys I'd raised my stop on that for the second half of the calls. On this little plunge down, I got stopped out on that, but I was stopped out at a gain. I think I paid $190 for those calls, sold some at $320, and then some stopped out there at like $260 or so. So still pretty good on that.
Fine job. Oh, a little bit of a pull there, and the IBS. Maybe we get a back test of the 65. That's looking like what might happen if we can't get a lift here up to 345. We back test that 65. And there it is. They just brought a large seller in at 327 for VIVS.
That's right there at that VWAP, isn't it?
We're back testing the 65 EMA. And now we're getting a lift. And we're going to try and take out that seller at 327. Hopefully we get enough volume here, but
Anne-Marie saying, I took the Netflix short based on the 4-day behavior after the earnings scandal. Okay, so it looks like you and Anne-Marie are aligned. That's not a trade I want to be in then. I mean, the opposite of that. When you and Anne-Marie are on the same team, I might just rethink my life there.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that, Anne-Marie? You think we should take offense? Yeah, man. I think the death cross was kind of the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, it was.
For the stock, and when you have a sustained golden cross for over 2 years, and then you get this movement, it's like, okay, well, this could really come back in. And yes, the $80 area has been great support, but it's we still don't have anything final on that WBD deal, and even if we do, it's going to be a regulatory nightmare. So I think there is going to be some more downside, and I still like 70.
Okay. Good stuff there. Google, this is actually trading higher. We'll see if Google can make its way back to 344-ish. How did feed end up finishing up? That's going higher still. Feed is still feed in the group. 76 is Anne-Marie's target on Netflix. There you go.
Perfect. Let me look at 76. Okay, so that little consolidation area, I guess, from October of 2024 is about where that 76 area is. That's the only price action I see right in that area. So I could see how that would be a support area. I like it. All right, what are we getting here with VIVS? Okay, so we were back testing that 65 EMA. We lost it. Now we're back testing some of these other moving averages in the consolidation area from the pre-market.
SanDisk so far bouncing off the 200 EMA on its profit-taking pullback.
It's crazy to think about this being a $600+ stock. I've been buying these little sand discs for so long now. I never thought
I know.
that these would be just, so sought after.
It's funny too, because I was playing around with some of the, I was just kind of straightening yesterday and I was playing around with some of the electronics and I had a camera here and I opened up the memory bay door and out popped the SanDisk card and I was like, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Really quick. Tiny Pie here. Good to see you, Tiny Pie, as always. I was talking to Anne-Marie. I was watching your video from yesterday and love your theory of the midnight candle. That just makes me think about the Midnight Rider song. You'll have to explain that if you can. I know you'll probably have to type that out. Solid stats on the Midnight Candle, just bananas. Is there any, do you have a replay that you can link for the group? Oh, and then Izzy here. So Izzy joining a little bit late. So we talked about this earlier. There was the other, and here was the other thing. So we talked about the builders maybe capping the building and mortgage origination being low, but there was also news about RESPA violations. Okay. And RESPA violations are where a real estate agent says, okay, if you want to work with me, you have to work with this lender. And I guess Rocket is on the wrong side of that. That stands for the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. And it's enforced by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and covers most residential mortgage loans on 1 to 4 family properties. So they're not giving consumers choices in their lending products. And it could be nothing if they settle, but if they want to make a point, this would be the way to go. So that's what's going on with Rocket here. That was the one thing that we didn't mention earlier on top of the building caps. You don't have to be sorry, Izzy. It's all good. I'm actually glad that you brought this up because I had not mentioned the RESPA angle of that story earlier. And I'm sorry I had SanDisk up here. My bad. What we're talking about here is ticker RKT Rocket.
Yeah. And UWMC also got hit as well. So we'll see if this becomes an opportunity. I had sold this before we got to this consolidation. I was selling this after we broke through the 50-day SMA, looking to add on weakness. So I'll get my wish, I guess. But I'm not sure where the bottom is in UWMC. And plus, Felicia was really great about making me think more about the headwinds with this one, with the lawsuits they have. But I'm just going to take a step back from the mortgage companies for now and let things shake out.
Yeah, this was a great trade. This was a great trade last year. I had this wrapped up. My calls were the March expiry anyway, so wanted to get out while the premium was still baked into the calls and was expanding. But you know what? This pullback here, this likely going to give us another opportunity. And as far as like the catalyst there, remember, if they settle, maybe it's not a whole lot of anything. Maybe we can start trading back up there.
Lots of weakness today.
There's our real estate expert, Felicia. I was just relaying your information. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for being responsive so that I could actually get that out there to the group. I could not remember everything that we had talked about yesterday. And then also just more generally, thank you for all of your diligent reporting on all of this stuff. This helps inform the entire group and it raises the tide for everybody.
Felicia, one of the shining facets of the happy hour group.
Absolutely. There are a ton. That thing has uncovered more diamonds than you can imagine.
Wow, feed. Great. I mean, here we go. Okay, perfect. Excellent. Great. Grand. With feed, we blasted through that 585 area, but we were rejected at 609. So no closes above that 585 area, and now we're coming back down to $5, where I think we could get support from, the VWAP or $5 the handle, like we were getting resistance from that earlier and support. So here we are coming back in feed, now regurgitating. So $5 next support area to the downside here.
Tesla, a bunch of call sweeps here. I'm looking at TSLL as that is printing new highs here, but Tesla also at highs, and options are following this here. So these actually look like zero DTEs. Looks like there's aggressive buying for the contract that expires today in Tesla. Those are upside bets.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for bringing this up. Is the Roblox crushed? Yeah, it is. After it went up and hit that 50-day SMA, it turned around, and now we are breaking down beneath this trend line that I've had here since 2020, well, the early 2025. We are losing this broadening wedge. This is not great. This could spell even further downside for Roblox.
Here, I'll put the Roblox chart up here, but let me answer Joe in the oh my gosh. Let me answer Joe in the chat here real quick. Here's your Roblox chart. I'm going to go to the daily real quick. By the way, earnings in 6 days on this. Look at this candle. Yeah. Look at this plunge down 10.3%. Yikes. Plus earnings. Oh, baby.
Yeah. So if you start with the low from October 2024 and you drop to the Liberation Day low, you'll see that we just fell through this trend line. This is a support trend line, the bottom edge of this broadening wedge here that the price has been trading into since October of 24. And losing this rising broadening wedge is bearish to me. It's a bearish breakdown. We're losing the 500-day SMA in the process as well. We have not even interacted with that since October of 2024. And we also have a death cross from December of last year. This is not looking great to me. I think this is going to come down to 50. We'll see what happens there. But, someone was mentioning they got hit with a French probe. I imagine it's going to be over child predatorism. So,
yeah,
just avoid. I just don't want this to even touch this one. It's gross. Loses a ton of money. Got predatory child predators on their platform.
I think this is it. ACM launches an investigation into Roblox in connection with risks that minors are facing. This story is it's so ugly. By the way, Wedbush maintained an outperform, but did lower the price target to 110.
Okay, Wedbush. Okay. And we were talking about this when it was, in the 120s.
Yeah,
about
we were.
These lawsuits and how this could affect the company. Still ended up pushing up to the 140s, and then we got the big old suits in October. And I think it's interesting because the big drop started coming around the time that institutions were wrapping up their year. They were selling at the end of October. And look at where this big red candle it was that started the breakdown, October 30th.
Okay. Good stuff there. Roblox, WDC getting mentioned here.
Looks like a lot of things are coming out. Google News coming out with a product Roblox. They may want to reconsider. It just, I don't know what's so great about this company. Look at their income statement. They lose hundreds of millions of dollars. They're not profitable. They're about to be on a losing $1 billion a quarter.
Go off, King.
It just doesn't make sense to me. All right.
Yeah, Tara, so this is a good point here. Ryan and 13, we don't have that on our gaming platform. However, I also put a large blame on the parents that do not pay close attention to what their children are playing. And there's a part of that that's true, but I think it's just kind of common sense and just a duty. Really, I don't really care what industry you're in. I think it's a duty that if you have a product that is marketed to children, that you do everything in your power to make sure that that product isn't being exploited to harm those children. I mean, this to me is basic level stuff that they're failing at. So I understand where you're coming from, and I agree with you. But man, I just feel like more can be done. More can be done to protect children.
It's one of the reasons why I don't let my kids on social media. I think it's very, very bad to have kids on social media. Very impressionable young minds. Yeah. Looking and seeing all this. Right. Anyway, EIVS recapturing the 65 EMA since we want to get back to stocks. And if we can hold above this, maybe we'll test the highs we made of the regular session. We were getting rejected.
Rocket here may be slowing down. This thing was just straight down out of the gate.
Let's see here. Where is this bottoming out at? Is there any support down there? Well, let's see if this ends up going down to the 200-day SMA. We're not too far away. That's at 1681, less than $1. Memory came in.
Right.
Oh, Jay, I appreciate that, but I don't necessarily think that was my call. It's an expectation, really. Like, we've got a really big extension of or this move really, really high up. We need to come back in. I still think it could go higher, but we need to cool off. But I appreciate that, though.
All right, 13. We got Paulo coming up here real quick. Let's do a wrap on some of these movers. Honestly, there shouldn't be too much because there was really only one that was any good here. Fat BB, FATBB. This thing basically did nothing. We had that impulse move, 2 tests at the VWAP, did nothing. It's trading sideways here. It is above the 200 EMA, but the volume doesn't look great. Movement doesn't look great here. This seems like a pass. You tell me what you think.
This is undergoing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They are moving to the pink limited market, OTC, because NASDAQ is going to be suspending all of their related stocks, which are FAT, FATBB, and FATBP as of February 4th. So if you want to take that risk and try and trade something that's going to move to OTC, that's up to you. But I would think that this isn't something that anybody wants to really touch.
Amen. Next here, ANL. This is Adlai Nordy. This did nothing today. This just traded off, broke a whole bunch of, actually broke the 200. Looks like this is going to test lower here. Volume's compressing. No bueno. Any different thought there, 13? ANL?
I mean, this could continue to go lower here. It is starting to approach some areas of support, and I can see that the selling momentum has slowed. So if there is going to be some more downside, I think that we could see greater support kicking around 550. But it does look like this is really starting to slow down with the selling. So maybe there's some support coming a little bit earlier than that. But if it, I would just watch it at that point. If this begins to turn back up, maybe there's a retest of VWAP. I just don't know if it's going to break through it.
Okay, VIVS, this is one of the ones that we were looking at. This did have a nice little bounce off the 200 EMA, but really kind of stopped at the VWAP. Maybe this gets rolling again. The volume is encouraging. This actually looks better than the other movers, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've seen some movers, a lot of movers in the past and, earlier this week move later on in the day. So even if we're not getting great movement now, and it is 10:30, so there are a fewer traders at their desks as they go to lunch. So maybe when they come back from all that, and we get the afternoon trading and the power hour, we'll probably see some of these names, maybe VIVS, trade better. But for now, it's just kind of sideways, still trying to recapture that 65 EMA. And until we can get multiple closes above the 65 EMA, it's probably just going to continue sideways.
Okay. 13, this was really good stuff. We had what felt like a very, very busy week. Lots of stuff going on. Do you have any closing words for the group here? Great job, by the way.
Thank you. That was earnings week, folks. We had a lot of and we still have more earnings next week. So this is one of two. We have some big names reporting. I completely.
Here you go. 13, I got you, dude.
What's that? Oh, perfect.
Sorry. That was the wrong one. Here's next week.
There we go. So I completely expect to have some great opportunities with trading next week like we did this week. We'll have to see what we end up getting, but we can talk about all these on Monday. Until then, folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Enjoy your time with Anne-Marie, and I'll see you on Monday.
Actually, no Anne-Marie today. We're going to Paulo next. That's okay. You didn't know. All good. Have a great one, 13. As a reminder here, if you want to trade Disney earnings, you got to get that done by the end of the day today with options because it reports before the market opens on Monday. 13, take care. We'll see you.
Bye, folks.
All right, 13's departure leaves room for Paulo. Let's see how he's doing here today. Paulo, how are you?
Hello, Ryan. How are you? Happy Friday. How is it going?
It's going really good, man. What do you got on the docket for us today?
Well, I'm trying to update the charts, read a bit the mixed signals we have actually after FOMC. Also, with the current earnings season, we have some stocks bullish, some stocks important stocks actually looking like we might be starting a correction for them.
Okay, awesome. That sounds really good. Paulo, don't forget to share your screen.
Yes.
Trading Made Simple with Paulo here. Starts right now.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fits-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
All right. Good morning, everyone. How is it going? I hope we all are having a great week. And let's check some important charts. First, we're going to start with the indices. Then we're going to go also into big tech and a couple individual stock setups that I do think it's important to remain updated. Important stocks such as Palantir appear to be going through important corrections. And as always, I have here to the right, I have the chat room open. So if anyone would like to request any chart, any ticker, any stock you would like to see, we can check the charts, the patterns, the technical indicators, the fundamental indicators as well. So let's get started here. We're going to start with the S&P 500 in the weekly time frame. All right. So the S&P 500, unfortunately, it's looking a bit mixed. I say unfortunately because I would prefer much clearer signals for the market, either bullish or bearish signals that can let us get important trades, maybe take some important macro decisions. But we are seeing mixed signals here with the S&P 500, and let's review them here. I see some requests coming on. Yes, we're absolutely going to check them. Microsoft, GLD, any chart, any we would like to see. All right, so the S&P 500. All right, look, I would call this playing with fire. Nothing has broken down in the weekly time frame yet, but it's looking a bit dangerous, a bit suspicious from some angles. Actually, let's do a quick recap on what we discussed actually last week. Remember, we reviewed the Elliott wave structures, right? So if we zoom out, we have this blue channel. We have been trading here 6-7 years, I think, and we are apparently trying to break out. All right. Now, it does appear we're starting a new Elliott wave cycle. Remember, we discussed that usually this is not as a strict rule that the market 100% of the times has to follow, but it's kind of a frequent market behavior that sets a golden rule in Elliott wave, and it would be the following. Usually, when we start a new Elliott wave cycle, the RSI indicator goes from oversold into overbought. Wave 2 correction goes at least to the 0.2 Fibonacci retracement here, with the wave 2 going back to equilibrium. Wave 3 usually is the highest point on the RSI, and wave 5 does the bearish divergence, and then we correct. We can see this happening on the 2020, also in the 2023 and bull market, both bull market starts of bull market. And now we're seeing this right here in this 2025, was it? Yes, in this 2025 new bull market we have been following. So SPX in the weekly time frame went from oversold into overbought, and that appears to be a wave 1. Now, what I don't like is that we never retested the 0.236 Fibonacci retracement. We almost did it, but not that same level. So that is where the chart gets a bit dirty, a bit difficult to read, because it doesn't have to be exactly that we go right, to that exactly decimal on the 0.236 Fibonacci. So this could kind of have already been that wave 2 correction, and we could be about to see a bull rally, as kind of surprising it might sound. I'm not quite convinced of that, because we do still have a bearish divergence, and we have not seen much of a pullback on the RSI momentum indicator. Equilibrium is known as a range from 40 to 60, but even though we kind of went there to 56, it's looking like we still got a bit of a bearish divergence forming here. Still, price action would be ultimate confirmation. So if we start breaking above 7,000, that would signal that we already went through a correction and the market would continue bullish. What I don't like a bit is breadth. We are actually declining here in breadth. It wouldn't be the most bullish setup. We can see how this was a higher high that day we did SPX 7,000, but breadth is actually declining on the ADL indicator, which is telling us, even though stocks were participating and stocks participating on that bounce, in this final move, we have actually not seen multiple stocks participating. If we actually go into individual stock setups, we can see plenty stocks are going through bearish setups, such as software as a service stocks. Multiple sectors of the market have signal weakness this week after FOMC, after the earnings. Let's go here with the NASDAQ, quickly end the Dow, and then we're jumping into our requests. I see we have plenty of requests. Yes, okay, beautiful. We're going to check them all. So for the Dow, all right, for the Dow, here is where it gets a bit difficult, because the Dow is breaking out, we are breaking out from we kind of call it rising wedge, rising channel pattern, right? It's kind of like in between the middle, not as tight to be a wedge, but not as parallel to be a channel too. So the Dow also did the same behavior from oversold to overbought, but we already retested the 0.2 Fibonacci retracement and we confirm higher. So it does appear that the Dow is actually breaking out and it will remain a bullish breakout while we remain above 48,400. If we remain above that level, nothing has broken yet on the macro scenario for the Dow. It would yet be bullish. What's also still bullish for the Dow is that we are still making higher highs on the RSI indicator, which is signaling that momentum is actually increasing. So the Dow is actually looking strong. Now, NASDAQ, not much, even though we have already retested the 0.2 Fibonacci retracement. So technically speaking, different from the S&P 500, the Dow and the NASDAQ, according to Elliott wave theory, have already went through a correction. So for the NASDAQ, if we are able to clear previous all-time highs at 26,180, that would look bullish. I would understand this was the wave 2, and I would be correcting. Now, here is the catch. For the NASDAQ, we kind of have a bit of bearish divergence, but that would be the wave 2 correction. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see a flat correction. See, there's multiple waves and corrective waves. One is the flat pattern. It's a zigzag in ABC, 3-point sell-off, but we go flat here. So I wouldn't be ruling out maybe if we end up rejecting previous all-time highs, we go for the flat correction ABC, and we could retest 23,900. Now, I do think macro scenario is still bullish because we can see how the NASDAQ is actually breaking out. So if from our ascending channel structure, the macro structure, so if we actually bounce here from the 23,000, that would be a great buying opportunity. And small caps, which would be a risk on indicator sector, a risk on sector, right? The indication, the bullish indication would be if we would be breaking out. We're seeing a double bottom breakout from a yearly consolidation. We got the double bottom, we broke out. We're also breaking out from the range. So kind of appears that even though through November, December, even January, it appears even into February, we're still consolidating, going sideways in the market. It does appear still the sentiment, as surprising as it seems, because sell-offs this week were actually pretty bloody. I would say still kind of looks a bit risk on. So I would call it playing with fire, you know. It does look a bit that we are still maintaining the bullish structures, but it feels a bit playing with fire because just one bad news, one wrong move, and we could see the market maybe going again through a correction. Let's go here into the updates. All right, first one. I see we have a request for GLD. Absolutely, precious metals. All right, this one is a bit difficult. Let me see what was my latest update on my chart. Oh my God, okay, no, bearish. Unfortunately, I would call this bearish, but let's see it first here. All right, my Elliott wave count, first of all, I haven't taken a final conclusion on my Elliott wave count in gold. First, let me show it here in gold. Then we're going back to GLD because it does have the volume. So for gold, I did had a complete Elliott wave cycle. I did had a wave 1 on my latest update on this. Then the wave 2 correction to equilibrium. Wave 3 was the highest point. Then we were having a bearish divergence, but now we're kind of breaking out. Still, this one I already have it there, but I keep updating it every week because gold continues going higher. I do think we might have ended up a cycle. So if we go back into GLD, what is it what I don't like? All right, I don't like the volume on this candlestick. I wouldn't give it much importance to the color on the volume, right? That only signals if we are opening, if we are actually closing that weekly candlestick higher or lower than where we open. And of course, if we are also doing candlestick analyses, we can take some technical conclusions from it. But for me, the real trick with the volume bars is, where is this record volume coming? if this record volume is coming in at all-time lows and critical support on the weekly, on the monthly time frame, I would understand that as a buy, because volume tells us the amount of shares traded under that specific period. And to hit record volume, you need strong market participants, and we can understand that is institutional money. We also understand that institutional money is smart money. So it's actually very strange to see if we are seeing this market participation. My point is, I would be surprised for institutional money and smart money to be buying gold here. We know institutional money and smart money are behind this price action because it's signaling record volume, right? Only institutions can trigger this amount of trading activity. Big money institutions, smart money. So seeing this big candlestick here in the volume, I would understand it might be selling volume. Let's see that in the past. See here, this record volume here was on the lows and it signaled that pivot. So usually that volume signals either bullish or bearish reversals. Then we had again record volume. That was a decade top from 2011 to, well, not decade, 4 years, but still the big one. Right here at support, we again saw record volume. Here we kind of saw some important volume in this top, and now we're seeing, oh my God, and now we're seeing it here twice. So nothing has broken down yet on gold, on GLD, but I wouldn't be calling it a buy here for no reason. I would call it a sell, and that might sound a bit difficult too, right? Like, oh my God, gold it continues going higher, and why would you sell it here? The dollar devaluation, DXY continues dropping, but will this time be different? Market works in cycles, and from what I have been seeing in my experience in the markets, it's always the same. And the good exits and entries are buying when there's freed and selling into greed, selling into strength, not selling into weakness, right? Selling into strength. So right now, gold is just too bullish. Everyone is in gold. I saw a joke actually online that, now athletes are asking for their payments, their salaries to switch from crypto now into gold, right? Just a joke I saw on the internet. So we're seeing all that. Of course, not true, just a joke I found on the internet, but it kind of gives us this sentiment that gold is so bullish that it might be a sell. It has not yet broken down. We're going higher. We did a brand new all-time high this week, but this kind of volume trading at all-time highs, for me, it's very dangerous. My chart, I would have to update this. You can see this is, if you want me to be honest, this is the third time I'm personally calling a top in gold. This was the first one, it got destroyed. This was the second one, it got destroyed. So I'm not seeing yet any reversal signals, but now this record volume at this high, I would remain careful. I think it would be much closer than a sell, not even a hold. Let's go with the other ones here. Microsoft, yes, absolutely. Microsoft, I think it will be a buy soon. Let's check it here on the weekly time frame. Where is Microsoft? Microsoft, it's right here. Max 7. All right. So Microsoft, I would say price action is bullish. There is just one thing I don't like, which is a strong bearish signal. Okay. For Microsoft, the same. We still appear to be under a new little wave cycle. We had our previous cycle with wave one going from oversold into overbought, wave two into equilibrium. The same here, wave one from oversold into overbought, wave two into equilibrium. And then we started again from oversold into overbought with very strong new all-time highs. We did reject it a bit. All right, we were not actually able to break with conviction from the rising wedge pattern, kind of like a rising wedge, even though it's expanding, not contracting. So technically it wouldn't be a wedge, but we were not able to break above resistance. We did have two important liquidity grabs here, but we didn't have any weekly candlestick closing confirmation. That was a trap. Now we're going through a correction. So we are still retesting kind of like a resistance trend line, now turning to support. And we also got the 0.6 Fibonacci. So usually wave 2 corrections can have the small pullback, which goes to the 0.2, 0.3 Fibonacci retracement range, or the big pullback, which goes to the 0.6, 0.7. If we break below the 0.7, I automatically cancel any potential new Elliott wave cycle, as usually breaking below the 0.7 Fibonacci retracement signals you are not on an Elliott wave cycle. You might retest your previous lows or even go into brand new lows. In this case, for Microsoft, which is the confirmation? Confirmation is here, 410 to 420. If we are able to remain above the 410 to 420 range, it would initially look like this could be a bottom for Microsoft. It would look bullish, especially if we can have a bearish cross on the MACD indicator. Now, what I don't like is that in Elliott wave cycles, usually wave 2 correction doesn't break below equilibrium, below negative. Different than the RSI that goes to equilibrium, usually the MACD kind of survives in the positive territory. You can see it here. Wave 2 RSI went into equilibrium, and even though we had a weekly sell signal, we had the bullish reversal in positive territory. Now we're actually in negative territory for the MACD on the weekly. That's not much of a bullish signal. And the RSI, we're trading at 34. Equilibrium is a range from 40 to 60. It doesn't have to be exactly that level, but we can see in the past cycles how those cycles for Microsoft kind of went a bit to this mid-range. See, we have it here, we have it here, but now we're almost back into oversold. So what I would think, how I would play Microsoft is, if we break below 410, it would be a bit difficult to view this as a new cycle starting. I think then Microsoft could be going through a correction. Now we're seeing this big volume spike here, which is kind of signaling a big capitulation, a big of panic selling too, forced selling too, right? So this post-earnings negative reaction we have seen for Microsoft might have been a liquidity grab. Confirmation would be here. Golden Fibonacci retracement, 0.6. 410 to 420, I would base my confirmation for those levels in Microsoft. Let's see here. I do have Apple charted and also Walmart. So as we have 9 more minutes, let me go first with those ones, and then we can check TSSI too. But let me go with this ones that I already have charted. So for Apple, I'm looking at a correction. We already broke below the 0.2. Let me update this. Let me just show now the 0.3. So Apple does appear we are in a wave 2. This would be here. And our confirmation would be the 240s, where we also meet the lower Bollinger Band. So we do need here to hold 240 for the small pullback. Remember, we mentioned it goes from the 0.2 to 0.3. So this could be a potential bottom. Now, this is just speculation based on technical levels, of course. If we break the 0.2, the 0.3, I'm sorry, I would be looking at 0.6, 0.7. Jesus, that would be 214. That would be quite a drop. I do think Apple might find its bottom here because Bollinger Bands is already here. RSI went back into equilibrium, typical behavior in wave 2. So our confirmation for Apple would be here 240. I see we also have a request for Walmart, and then we're going with TSSI. Where is Walmart? Here it is. I think I had a wave 5. Ooh, no. No. So the thing with the wave 5 is that you can continue updating it. I have it there. It's not that I'm calling a top here, but I just have it here to remember that it does appear we're in a wave 5. So wave 1 from oversold into overbought, wave 2 into equilibrium, wave 3 the highest point on the RSI indicator, wave 4 back into equilibrium, and wave 5 has the bearish divergence in the RSI. What I don't like is this volume. Big volume at all-time highs. That is kind of a bit a sell signal. But you know what I would like to do for Walmart? I would like to check insider selling. All right, if insider selling is strongly has a strong sell ratio, that would validate a bit our thesis here. My God, I didn't knew Walmart was 45% held by insiders and 36% by institutions. Wow, amazing. Top institutions, of course, Vanguard, BlackRock, JP Morgan, State Street, GOD Capital, Morgan Stanley, always the same institutions. Let's go into insider transactions. This is going to be a surprise for me. I don't know. I might get invalidated. Okay. No, absolutely not. I love Yahoo Finance insider data. It's very important to validate insider activity, insider buying, insider selling, compare it to the technical levels, compare it to the indicators too. And what we're seeing is 800,000 purchases past 6 months, again, 12 million sales. So this is a 12-to-1 insider sell to ratio. If you want me to be honest, I was expecting maybe a 3 or 4-to-1 insider ratio, maybe something like 1 million purchases against 3 million sales, because check where the chart is. But I mean, the data is telling us we have 12 million insider sales against 800,000 purchases. That's more than 12-to-1 insider sell to insider buy activity. That is coming at super all-time highs with this big volume spike. I would rate it a sale. I'm not calling a top, all right? I'm not calling a top. It's difficult to catch the tops. I don't like to call tops either. I kind of view it like buy and sell windows and ranges, right? But I would call it a sale. It doesn't mean we cannot continue higher, but I would be selling Walmart. I think we got time for 1 or 2 more. Let's go with TSSI. It was promised here. I don't know this stock and I don't have it. Oh, someone requested it some time ago. My God. This one is difficult. This one is a bit difficult. Let me zoom in here. I think I have to go into the daily. No, that's outdated. Invalidated. I'm sorry. That would be invalidated. Well, how about if here it is. This is the pattern. All right, so the trend line would be here. Support would be here. This is the first I see. Of course, I would like to work a bit more, but I do think this pattern gives us. All right, yeah, we got the technical setup. All right, so the technical setup would be the following. This would be macro analysis. This should be green. This would be here the technical setup. Okay, so of course we're downtrending. We might have had 5 waves of selling. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be a 5-point correction. Do we got any bullish divergence? We do got a bit of a bullish divergence. This was a slightly lower low on price, but it was a higher high on the RSI indicator. I would also chart our RSI. Usually, but it's too far. It's not going to be useful yet, but I would also chart it. So I see 2 potential buy signals here. The buy signal would be if we break above 12.75. If we are able to break above 12.75, that would be a bullish breakout on the technical chart. This is also previous lows here. I just noticed that. But what I like is the potential buy signal on the MACD. All right, we're starting to break above that level. We're 3 cents above it. I wouldn't call this a bullish buy signal on the MACD. But if we can break above 12.76, 13. Let's round it up to 13. Yeah, 13. If we are able to break and hold above 13, we would be breaking the middle Bollinger Band. We would be signaling a breakout in the charts, and we would also be having here a bullish cross. Now, a stock, I think we have 2 minutes. I have one charted that I wanted to show, and it's Palantir, and we got an inverse head and shoulders. I was not sure, all right, on my Palantir cycle. I had 2 actually setups, but with what we're seeing here, I do think this is a wave 5 completed. Okay, wave 1 goes from oversold to overbought. Wave 2 into equilibrium. Wave 3 goes into the highest point on the RSI. Wave 4 goes into equilibrium, and wave 5 has the bearish divergence. Right, that's basically my favorite behavior on Elliott wave charting. Now, what I don't like, it's the inverse head and shoulders. We can see it. It's super clear. Left shoulder, neckline, what am I talking about? Left shoulder, neckline, head, second neckline, right shoulder. We're breaking below that level, which is confirmation. Confirmation is 153. Now, we have Palantir earnings next week, Monday, I think. It's Palantir earnings we got on Monday. So we could still survive. This could still end up being a bear trap. And maybe we have good Palantir earnings, positive reaction, and we bounce from this support. Because, of course, confirmation of the head and shoulders reversal would be Palantir closing below 150. But if we don't close below 150, we would not yet be a confirmed technical head and shoulders reversal. So let's see the earnings. I wanted to check just 1 minute before we end here. Insider activity, I don't know this. So let's see. I don't know how is the insider transactions. Kind of 1-to-1. We got 2.3 million purchases against 2.7 million sales. I wouldn't say, oh my God, this is the strongest insider activity. It's not like Walmart. So insiders are still kind of buying, all right? Crazy. Imagine being an insider and buying it here. I would have used my insider information before, just a joke. Okay, so, well, yeah, for Palantir, that would be the setup. If confirmation would be after earnings, okay? On Tuesday, earnings is on Monday. If on Tuesday we are below 150 on Palantir, that's a head and shoulders reversal. That's a very bearish signal. We got the sell signal on the MACD. We're dropping into new lower lows here on the RSI indicator. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a sellout into oversold. Now, if after earnings we're above 150, this was a bear trap and Palantir could recover its bull market. I think I've run out of time. That will be all for today. I would like to thank you everyone for your participation, for your attendance. I see we had it. Here. A lot of requests. Appreciate that. So on our next session, of course, we're going to continue with the requests. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Thank you to Ryan, Aaron, all the Benzinga team for having us here. And remember, you can find more about what we do on our website, tradingmadesimple.org. Thank you, everyone, and see you on the next weeks. Have a great weekend. Thank you all.